Well, hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. I am Diana Clarion, the Lavender Lady, and this is a special program. My friend Piggy had asked me yesterday if I would do a little bit of broadcasting in support of a fundraiser that's going on for the family of SciStrike. I don't know if there's anybody in the interwebs or anything like that who does not already know that Sci died on the 18th, victim of a sudden heart attack. And unfortunately, he had no life insurance. And this little fundraiser is in support of his wife and getting some of the final expenses out of the way here. And oh my word, look at everybody showing up. It's amazing, and it really is. I'm okay. We're going to get to this in a minute or two here, but as soon as the little one gets settled down, because you see this kitty tail going here all over the place, and that's the way kitties are, aren't they? And my camera too isn't working very well. The way I understand it, hon, is it was a heart attack, and the car crash followed. There was a car crash. Oh, here we go. Hi, Jess. SciStrikeling JC Photos is Jeff's daughter. And thank you for stopping in, saying hi. Yeah, that's what I thought, was that the heart attack came first, and then the crash was the result of him not being able to drive because he was dead by then. It was a massive heart attack, to my understanding, and as far as I understand it, he didn't even feel the crash, so that was a good thing. As much good as can be had out of this. Yeah, Piggy, I'm really sorry about this. I was having trouble setting up. We really didn't have that much time to go. As a matter of fact, I'm flying on a wing and a prayer right here. My camera, too, is not working for some reason, so we're just flying with what we've got, and I hope everything will be okay. Let me grab over here the link to the fundraiser we've got going, and SciStrikeling got this fundraiser started here, and we'll just put this here. This is a link there too, and in case anybody wants to donate, is able to donate, let's put it that way. I know a lot of us are strapped for cash and everything, but if you can, please do. And if you can't, spreading the word is at least as helpful. Sci was, I'd say, probably the dearest friend I've ever had. Not taking away from anybody else. Truly. In our short association, he opened his heart to me, basically, and even 400 miles away, he was always there. Okay, we've got a little something going on over here. You! Down! Yeah! This is what I deal with. Oh, Sylvia, I love you dearly. He was always around, even to talk, just to talk to. And he talked me through quite a few down times, if you will. Don't worry about it, Redacted. Do not even worry. Yeah, if you cannot afford enough food, don't even think about this sort of thing. It's keep yourself going first, and all of you out there as well. It's as the means allow. Let's put it that way. And I want to thank you, by the way, Retracted, for your recent subscription to my channel. That's amazing stuff. I'm going off to yours, seeing what you've got going. Okay, you've got 5 subscribers and no content. If you keep this up, you just may be like Shannon Q, who had 1,000 subscribers before she made her first video. Let me look over here too, because my friend down under, Najah Witness, released a video this morning. So I think it was 7 a.m. my time, so it would have been, about 10 p.m. his time, on dealing with death, and it dealt in part with the loss of Psy. Najah has lost quite a few people this year. A couple family members, and our dear SciStrike. And it's an example of how hard one can be hit by losses like this. I have not had a loss like this in the recent past, so this kind of came out of nowhere and just hit me. But the thing is about that, you begin to realize how fleeting life is, our existence is, and kind of reminds you that nothing's permanent, really. So you enjoy. I know that there are people out there who are going to say that this sounds bad, and you know what? You can go screw yourselves if that's what you feel, but you enjoy what you can while you've got it. And you strive to make good while you've got it. Let's see, copy link location, there we go. Oh, Lord, I'm just working at this, and, oh, is that the way it worked, hon? Okay, here in the side chat, I'm putting up a link to Najah's video, and if you can, pay a watch to that, and pay a watch to Najah's other stuff. He's pretty good as far as a content creator goes. I know, Kate, and I love you for it. Tell you what, hon, let's see what we can do here. No, I got the wrong browser up. I'm running 2 browsers here. It's all sorts of fun trying to keep track of everything. What have we got here? I know we've got something over here. It's okay. There's the Twitter, and we're gonna hit that, and we're gonna do some of this over here. And what else are we going to do? Look at that, will you? Yay! Okay, Kate, if you're awake, if you feel like it. Um, oh, look at that! I did the wrong link. Oh, for Christ's sake! No, that was not Josh's link. We didn't want that one. We wanted a different one. Oh my! Oh my! Oh my! I'm not working correctly this morning. Do I work correctly any morning? I'm not sure. Okay, that's better. If you feel like coming on in, please do. I love to have you on all the time. I really do. I love you dearly. You know that. If you don't feel like it, if you're, because you're still waking up, that's great. Don't worry about it. Um, just keep in mind that if I'm on here alone, you've got to put up with me alone. You've got to put up with my boring self if I'm here by myself. Oh, scheiße, zu viel Scheiße. Oh my, oh my. But then again, um, it's, yeah, life is very impermanent. And, oh, look, somebody's knocking at my door. I hear you knocking, but you can't come in. Hi, sweetness. Hi, Kate. How are you? How are you? How are you? It's not like me. Thank you sincerely
Yeah,
for coming
I'm
on.
not awake. You're in the wrong time zone. I'm not awake.
Shut up, Clarion.
Uh, yeah.
Oh my.
So
How is
I
you
I,
feeling?
I probably should ingest some caffeine.
Okay, that would be a good thing. Yeah, keep you
And
awake.
I don't like this web program you're using because it never really meshes with my camera.
Okay, I may have to try something different because I'm having troubles with it as well.
Like
Um,
it just constantly says camera starting.
okay, then I'm gonna look at other stuff. I know there's other stuff out there. Um, I started using this because I'm familiar with it. We used to use this on movie night many, many moons ago. Um, but familiarity does breed contempt sometimes.
Uh
Yeah, she'll
huh.
tell you. She'll tell you how that happens. Yeah, because I can't get camera two going. Oh my word! Oh God, Kate Farr in the morning is absolutely beautiful, isn't that?
Oh, my camera's on.
Yeah,
Hey, what'd you know?
it heard you,
I
and it said it
guess.
said.
I don't know. I need to see me because I don't know if I'm presentable.
Any way you are is presentable to me. Shut up, Clarion.
Yeah, but I gotta like with the public and stuff. So
Oh my son, what I'm gonna have to. Okay, yeah, my camera too isn't working, so I'm gonna screw around with this at some point. Um, I've heard of a.
I guess I better set up a stupid tripod.
Oh, okay. Is that how you do that?
Yeah, because like right now the camera's just sitting on my speakers.
Okay. It,
And it will only basically get a shot straight up my nose and nobody wants that.
yeah, okay. Even I would kind of not
Holy
be
focus,
running toward
Batman.
that. You know. Now you're blur. Oh,
Oh,
there
there we
you are. There
go.
you are. Now you're in focus. Oh my word. Ah, be still my beating heart.
Yeah. That would kind of kill you though.
Yeah, when you think about it, really.
Be still my heart. So,
Pig, we started on this, and it's going to be all kinds of fun to try to change over. We're stuck with this. Sorry. Um, yeah, it's trying to get this running on the simulcast. It was all sorts of fun, but that's another story entirely. So I'm going to be on somebody's shit list in a moment here, but that's okay. So what else is new, right? What you been up to, sweetness?
Well, I'm running like I'm rendering an animation right now. And it has been going for multiple days, and it
Oh
still has
no!
multiple day. It has multiple days ahead of it still. It's like 4 minutes of video, and it's going to be one of my new green screen backgrounds.
Holy crap! 4 minutes of video, and what's it going to take to render it? 4 days?
Almost a week. Yeah. But I think it'll be worth it because it's kind of a proof of concept for the much larger sci-fi project I keep talking about. And so it's looking really good in my never humble opinion, and it gives me some confidence for that project I'm working on. So it'll be worth it in the end.
Well, I'll tell you, and it's not because I'm biased. We already know I'm biased, but if your name is attached to it, I expect great things.
I I know, but I yeah, okay.
No, seriously, you're darn good.
Well, there's people who are not of the same opinion on that one. Cause like there's a web board I'm on where I keep asking questions and people keep not answering them properly, and they say that it's my fault, and I'm like, you guys are jerks. So like I'm really looking forward to the day where someone sees my animation and says, wow, we should make this into a TV series. And they do. And then I get to tell all of those fuckers, hey, when you were telling me that I'm no good at this stuff, well, here's my Oscar, bitches.
So,
How good am I now?
so that's what your
That's,
tweet was all about, huh?
yeah, pretty much.
Oh man, because I saw that it was yeah okay. Kate's pissed at somebody.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Well, that's you're so lovable when you're pissed.
oh, stop that. I am not. Ask my parents.
Oh, I have to admit you've got me afeared a couple of times.
Have I?
Yeah, got to see a little bit of the bionic temper there, and remember that I'm the one who grew up in an environment that has me, for good or for ill, avoiding conflict or anger or that sort of thing. Now I know it's something I really should work on because you can't run away from anger and that sort of thing all your life. But
Well,
some people when they're in an abusive childhood experience continue it, and then others they just ball up and hide. And I'm one of the latter.
mm, no, I guess I tend to wade into conflict sometimes, but darn it, it's not my fault people are wrong and stupid.
Oh, my dear, my dear. I love it.
Yeah.
I really
Also,
do.
I've been having this back and forth email conversation with a guy from One Minute Apologist, and like it's funny because in text he sounds like a real jerkwad, but we exchanged a few audio replies to each other and he sounds a lot nicer, but the instant we go back to text he sounds like a complete asshole, and I don't know what the difference is exactly, but it's something I've definitely noticed, that's for sure, that like in text versus voice, it's so much easier to see someone as your enemy,
Okay.
because you don't have that tone of voice. You don't, and it's just easier. It's kind of like, how when someone's having a bit of road rage,
Uh
they're
huh.
much worse than they ever would be if they were face to face with the person that they're screaming at.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think it's the same sort of thing, where it's just like it's so much easier to be angry and confrontational and obnoxious when someone's not in punching range, and when you don't have their actual tone of voice to work with to know like the vibe they're giving off.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember offhand if I know the guy you're talking about. Does he have a? He has a YouTube channel.
Probably, but I haven't looked for it. Well, I mean, what happened? 1 Minute Apologist is a YouTube channel. I don't know if he has a personal one, and I'm not sure if
Okay.
he's a guy on camera or a guy behind the scenes. Honestly,
Gotcha.
because I haven't watched enough of their videos, and I never really noted anyone's name except Frank Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, and so I don't know if I've ever actually seen him on camera. Like what happened was I had actually emailed one of my video responses to them, like well, to them. I emailed it to them, and it sparked a conversation that has gone from like actually talking to arguing to challenging each other to various things and all of that. And it's given me sort of an insight into part of the problem why we can't agree, a lot of us, because the way he was looking at it was looking at the origin of the universe and looking for the best explanation and then concluding that it's a god. Whereas I was coming from it from people are making claims about a god. These are the attributes they say their god has. And let's go looking to see if that is actually there, if we can find it. And it has made it very difficult for us to communicate because we're coming at it from such radically different perspectives. And he's actively said that he has no interest in basically being in the hot seat like that. He didn't put it that way, but he was like, no, I'm not going to just present you with a bunch of traits. That's not the way we're going to look at it. And I was like, well, then we're kind of at an impasse, aren't
Yeah.
we?
Yeah. So you've got to be ready to have the goods, if you will. I
Yeah.
can say anything I want, but
Well,
to back it up is another story entirely. Now, wait a minute, somebody's knocking at my door. Oh, okay. Hi, Jenny. How you doing?
and he keeps basically saying that he doesn't want to be Jesus's PR team. He doesn't want to sell me on a product.
Wait, I thought that's
And
what they were all about.
well, that's what I thought too. And that's also the way I think they have to be. I mean, if they're trying to convince other people, if they're trying to evangelize, if they want to go recruiting, they have to sell Jesus the way they would sell a product.
Yeah,
Because how else are you going to convince people that you have a point? But he's
indeed.
refusing, like refusing to engage on those terms. And I mean, I understand why. It does put him kind of on the defensive. It is issuing a challenge to him where I don't have a challenge back. And I know a lot of theists think that's very unfair. Like he keeps saying, I want you to defend your worldview. And I'm like, dude, if nobody presented religion to me as a possibility, I wouldn't have to challenge it.
Yeah,
The discussion is all because like religious people, even if it's not necessarily him, have said, here's a thing, and if you don't agree with me, there's an or else attached. I'm like, okay, sell me on your product. And now he won't do it. I'm like, you kind of want your cake and eat it too. You're kind of begging the question a bit. And I don't really have much interest in doing it that way either.
But don't
yeah,
all
absolutely.
apologists do that?
Sorry, what?
Don't all apologists do that? Beg the question and
Hi,
Well,
NA. How
yeah,
you doing?
but I'm calling him on it, and he's doing
yeah.
his damnedest to avoid being called on it.
Yeah, and that is something I don't like at all. And this is one of the things back when I was doing the scripted videos, which I've got to do more of. I keep saying this and I never do it. Um, I've always wanted to back up what I had to say. Put some good references, citations out there. This is where I'm coming from, guys. Look at that and come back to me and then tell me that my sources are crap. Um, but I mean, if these people aren't even going to do that much, it's not my idea of a good time at all.
Yeah, and I keep telling you, you're overthinking your videos. You really are. Because you keep talking about it like they're, a dissertation for a doctorate, the amount of prep you're trying to do. And I'm like, you don't need that much to make a reasonable and on point video. It's not required.
And I'm not going to say you're very likely right. Of course you're right. I no, I already know I overthink everything. Um, and I don't know where to draw that or where to strike that happy medium. That's the problem I have. It's with me. It's been all or nothing. With everything. You
You
can
have to back from that, Diana, though, because otherwise it just takes you too long to prepare to do something.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah, I've spent 2 weeks to do a single film, and it's a little
that's
bit.
not. I'd much rather, if I'm debunking a video that somebody's done, I'd much rather watch it as I'm debunking it and then record my thoughts back on what they've said. And if they say something I'm not sure about, then I will go and look it up before I record my section.
A lot like movie night.
It's very similar to my technique, except a little different. Because what I do is I watch it. Well, only a
It's
little.
the same thing, only different.
No,
Yeah,
it's
exactly the
it's
same
the
thing, only
same, but
different.
it's different.
No, I mean it's very similar, but with a minor tweak. Is that I tend to watch their video once through, and then I put it in my editor and play it until it gets to something I want to debunk, cut it, record my thoughts, insert, and then lather, rinse, repeat
That's
until
exactly
it's done.
what I do, Kate.
That sounds.
But
If it's something I
you
think I'm going to have to do a lot of research on, I'll do what you do, and I'll watch the whole thing first, so I know I've got the research to do. But otherwise, I will do it live, though.
Okay. Well, but I mean, you made it sound like you record all your thoughts at once instead of.
No.
point by point.
I do it like you do, point by point, exactly like that. I just don't always watch the entire video all the way through first. Sometimes I sometimes I do it the other way because I like the fact that I'm live reacting to it. Like, for example, the one I did the other day, I got to a section in it and I had to wait 5 minutes before I could actually record my thoughts because I was pissing myself laughing so much at what the person said. And if you watch my video, I'm still laughing at it when I come back and record my bit because I just couldn't stop laughing at it. It was so dumb. I can't remember what it was now, but it was debunking of people who get pareidolia when they look at Mars rover photos.
Okay, yeah,
And it was something real. It was just one of those. Oh, the spider on the cave, I think it was. But there's this cave formation, and they thought it was a face hugger from Aliens, and I just lost it. I was like, what?
Well, the most amount of prep I think I've ever done for a video that wasn't one of my animations was about 6-7 hours. But that was when I was doing that video about quantum physics and the shape of the universe and all that stuff. And I really had to educate myself more on it. Like I watched that Lawrence Krauss video through multiple times, and it was about an hour long. And I had to look up a lot of what he said because let's face it, it was very arcane at times. Unless you have a certain amount of knowledge, it really just sounds bizarre. Like he starts talking about, do we live in a curved universe? And I'm like, huh? And then I realized, then I realized what he meant, and I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. That is really interesting.
Yes, it is actually.
But if it comes at you cold, it's like, what the frick does any of this mean? You know?
I mean, on that particular one, my ex used to give me a heck of a problem with that. Whenever I'd slip and I'd use jargon from time to time, and I'd say, yeah, the universe is flat, and she'd look at me like she wanted to throw daggers at me. Number one, because she's not all that happy with
Right.
the state of the science, and two, she's not all that wasn't all that happy with me. That's why we're not together. But yeah, it's when you start throwing the jargon around, things get a little crazy until you can explain it in a way that you don't have to have a PhD to understand.
It's still difficult to picture a curved universe that's also three-dimensional, but I get it conceptually, and so looking at the 2D representations of a curved universe helped me at least understand the concept. But it's still really difficult to picture three-dimensional space being curved in that same manner.
Yeah,
on the whole, three-dimensional space across the entire universe appears to be mostly flat.
Yeah, as far as I understand,
you've got local curvature by gravity, but not enough of it to actually curve the whole of the universe. So it would appear that the universe itself is mostly flat.
Last I knew, the what's the word I'm looking for? The consensus was that our universe is indeed flat. And for those who understand the Euclidean geometry, you can look at it in terms of triangles. In a flat universe, any triangle you draw will have the angles add up to 180 degrees. No matter what the orientation is, no matter where it is, those internal angles will add up to 180 degrees.
But our universe isn't based on Euclidean geometry, so...
Well,
so that doesn't even necessarily work either. So.
Okay, yeah.
But yes, that's it. That's the basic idea of how they try to figure out if the universe was flat or not.
Yeah, that was what that whole experiment was about. Yeah.
Yeah, but they use the cosmic background radiation to to figure it out, and it looks on the whole mostly flat. Yeah, it's interesting. But I had the same thing as you, Kate. I did a debunking of Orphan Red, who is absolutely nuts.
Wow.
And her thing was a whole heap of drivel on quantum physics, and I was like, I'm not too bad at physics as a layperson, but it was like, she's talking about this, and I know she's just twisted it enough to try and make a point that was wrong. But now I'm actually going to have to go and read it to figure out where she twisted it. Because I know it's twisted, but I don't know.
They tell me that she's reasonably intelligent.
She is.
And from what I understand, she is Mensa caliber.
No, she's really quite intelligent. She's quite well educated too. But she's a complete and absolute Poe, and she uses her looks and her ability to skew the facts to make money from stupid people.
Well, you talk about the
I
looks.
wish I could do that, actually.
My morals wouldn't let me do that.
Well, okay, my morals.
My looks wouldn't either.
Well,
but that's
let me put it this way:
if
I could use my looks to sway stupid people to the facts, to proper reasoning, I'd totally do it.
Dear, let's not even argue about your looks, okay?
Hey, why can't you do that?
General consensus. Those who don't already have what appears to be a bit of a crush.
I have a crush, but I don't think. Yeah. I think you could probably do it, Kate. You know what the problem is, Kate?
You haven't seen some of the hate comments I've gotten about this ugly mug, so.
All you would need is a French maid's outfit.
Pig.
I've never understood why that's attractive. I do not find French maid attire even remotely attractive, and it's probably all that lace. I don't like lace.
Most of the ones who do use their looks to push themselves across probably spend a good half an hour or so putting makeup on before they even get in front of the camera.
There is
and
that.
Everything, and I don't give a shit.
I wouldn't even know how
I'll
to do
occasionally
that.
put a bit of lippy on, and if I've got a horrible pimple, I might cover it. But that's it for me if I'm getting in front of the camera. I can't be bothered with that crap. And that's just me. So
I just look really weird in makeup. It doesn't look right.
Okay, I'll grant you that because, okay, I'm looking at your face right now because you're on camera, and that face is not one that would be improved with makeup. The makeup would only detract.
Yeah. Now
there's a bias. I heard that bias.
I did some Photoshoppery to put makeup on my face, but it was Joker makeup, and it works. I'd make a hell of a Batman villain. But other than that, I mean, does Batman have like a punster? I mean, all of his enemies seem to be one variation or another on clowns or circus freaks. Right.
Riddler.
And so I'm wondering, because you've got the Riddler, you've got the Joker, where's the punster?
I am actually trying to think back, and I'm trying to remember if there was a villain like that, perhaps not the punster, but something close, back in the 40s or 50s. Because
probably not
back then.
The bestiary.
Yeah, probably not a Batman one, but the Trickster may have been sort of close for the Flash.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, the bestiary, I guess.
He did jokes and practical jokes and smaller jokes as part of his things. So.
Okay. Yeah, the villains have changed a lot over the years, and Batman is not a recent character. I'm trying to remember when.
Oh, Batman's quite old, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the 30s, I think, was when Batman was introduced.
So, Piggy, were you hoping to say something in between us all?
Yes, hi. I'm here.
Hi.
I fell asleep last night at around, I don't know when. It may have been 7, 8 a.m. I was supposed to be up the entire time. So I'm gonna call that a little break, and then I'm gonna resum the stream once Jared gets home.
Okay, that sounds like
so
stuff.
8 hours out of 24.
Did you want to say something about the spider on Mars too, did you, P? Because I saw something in the chat about that.
Okay, so part of being extremely sleep deprived comes hallucinations.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
That hallucination was me waking up half asleep in my bed to being scared out of my ever-living shit because there's a huge ass... Can I curse here?
What?
Can I curse here?
Yeah. I'm not worried about demonetization. Hell no.
Okay. There's a huge ass spider, like literally 6 inches from my face. That's like semi-translucent and just hanging there.
Oh my!
About the size of a camel spider. My first instinct is to punch it, and then I realized I punched nothing. And for like 20 minutes, I sat on my bed thinking, what if the spider is under the covers? Or like in the covers.
It's, what's really too bad over here.
Sorry, we needed some theremin, and I don't have a real one, so.
It's really too bad my other camera is not working, because you would have been able to see me wiping the lens of my glasses with a used sock.
We saw it.
Now, is it a crusty sock?
Not quite crusty, but next best thing. Yeah, you guys saw it up in the... because you get to see me when I'm talking.
I see all of you. I see everyone.
Why not see all of
I am
me?
omnipotent. Well, I can't even say the word.
I see dead people. So, speaking of demonetization, there's this video going around with a link where people experimented with as many words as they possibly could. It's like 15,000 words they tried to see whether YouTube would auto demonetize a video with that word in it, like just that word. And like a lot of them were pretty obvious because they're like all sexual or something, and a lot of them were bigoted and all of that. But some of them were bizarre, like
New Zealand.
Yeah, there was like 5 or 6 state names, like Wyoming will trigger demonetization.
What?
Yeah, and you can't say New Zealand.
Yeah.
To be fair, a lot of people shit talk Wyoming, so I could see why that would be negatively affiliated.
Wyoming. It was like I think I forget what the other ones were, but there was like 6 or 7 different names of states in there that you just can't say.
And countries, and I think you can't say sugar as well.
Okay, now I know that sugar is a substitute word.
Yes, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, I know.
Why can't you use a substitute?
Well, I suppose you can say NutraSweet, but
there you go. I mean, I remember George Carlin. Shoot a shit with 2 O's, man. I remember, but recently Paul Lenz was complaining.
Yeah, that's right. Knife, hot, Brazil, buried. You can't say those.
Okay, because Paul had Meredith on channel, and she's cussing like a sailor, and everything's fine. And then that next week, Steve Bauman was on.
You can't say Brazil.
Can't say Brazil.
Yep. It's
or
the
cancer.
movie.
You can talk about cancer.
Sorry.
Holy shit,
the
man.
Terry Gilliam movie Brazil. I was holding. That's what I was.
Yep.
Anyway, I'll just be over here.
Oddly enough, tranny isn't a word that gets you banned.
Oh, that was on the list. I saw that one. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And I was thinking, like, okay, I know there's a lot of like auto mechanics out there who refer
who would say that word
as a tranny, and there was actually like a cartoon I saw once where it was like 2 different people using the word in different contexts, and one was the mildly bigoted one that we all know, and the other was a mechanic. So.
Well,
it's weird. I don't like language policing. Everything has to have context.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Although there are some words where I don't know how the context could possibly be a good one, but
I agree with you on that. But you still have to look at the context. Just picking out words for banning is retarded.
Yeah.
Retarded is probably a word you're not allowed to say as well.
It is, as a matter of fact. That's a
in Australia,
word.
when we say retarded, we're not using it to talk about, people who are mentally disabled. It is just a thing to say that this person was stupid.
Oh, don't even get me on the rant about the word Oriental.
Oh, wow. Oh, man, I hate that one.
I have literally lost friends because I was explaining how when I was a kid, nobody meant that word in any racist way at all. It was just the word for someone from the East, someone Asian.
Yep.
And now people are all like, well, don't, I'm not a carpet. I'm not an Oriental.
You have to say Asian American, is that right? If you're in America?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be, an Asian or, whatever. It's... So I'm saying, okay, in other words, they're from Mongolia or they're from Siberia or, it's
just the argument about Oriental seems like manufactured outrage. I have never encountered someone saying Oriental and meaning it as a slur. I've never encountered that in my entire life ever.
Yeah.
I'm only 20, but I never knew that it was another word for rug.
Oh, well,
we're going to talk about people policing ideas.
I mean,
the Oriental rugs, which were of a certain
manufactured
design.
in Asia.
So an Oriental person is a person from Asia.
This is what I always thought. But there was one time, like in the 90s, when I said it, and everyone was all, oh my gosh, you can't say that. And I was like, what? Since when is that a bad word? And it just sort of changed out of nowhere that all of a sudden it's a slur.
Yeah,
God, so young.
One person in 1991 decided that, it was a slur. Well, just like, the one that really gets me is adding the, not adding, it's the suffix that will be on a certain word that Glad really got pissed off about. And when I was young, when I first discovered
that was a while ago.
Can I have a little context here? I don't know which the hell suffix you're talking about because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, when I was first finding the word that described me, that word was transgendered.
Oh,
now if you say that, they're all over you.
Was it transgendered then? No, it would have been transsexual, wouldn't it?
Oh, well, no. When I first saw anything to do with the syllables trans and gender, there was that ED on the end of it. And the reason there was
when did you first look it up, Diana?
Oh, Lord, that would have been about 1975.
Should have been transsexual back then, not transgendered.
There was even somebody who wrote an article about this, and I lost the link to the article because he was lamenting that sometime before 1991, transgendered was just fine. There was no problem. Then all of a sudden, that would get you cut down like whatever with the machetes.
Because from a historical perspective, the term you should have found looking up stuff was transsexual, not transgendered.
And what really amazed me is that there are even people who have argued with me that word transgendered is a part of speech called a participial adjective. It's like the word colored or left-handed or stuff like that.
What's wrong with left-handed?
Say again?
What's wrong with left-handed?
I guess it's horrible. Because these people are saying that transgendered sounds like you did something to them to make them that way. And it's like, what?
What do you do to someone to make them left-handed?
That's nuts.
So you know what? From now on, I'm not left-handed. I'm just left-hand.
Yeah. Well, actually, what's really weird is I've actually heard some play-by-play announcers say that. They're no longer calling the pitcher left-handed. It's a left-hand pitcher.
Oy.
We have left-hand Charlie.
This is language policing, and I hate language policing.
Yeah, it's... I can... where was I headed with this? Oh, they're arguing with me that nobody ever used left-handed in a complete sentence. Ever. It's like, shit. That's the way it was done when I was growing up.
I am a left-handed person. There, complete sentence. Bite me.
Bionic Dance is left-handed.
Yes.
So you're a rather sinister character.
Well, okay. I am not left-handed. I'm a left-hander.
Okay, then.
I mean, I don't know if anyone would accept that.
Can we call you Lander for short?
Lander.
Right. Yes, left-hando Calrissian. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just saying is like people get pissed off at the stupidest things.
Yes,
now.
they do, and it pisses me off. Think about that for a while.
Yeah. No, but it's fair enough. It's like you shouldn't be language policing anyone, in all honesty. I do understand that there are some words that have exited our vernacular for some people's usage because of historical connotations like the N-word and things like that. And
there's the other one.
But there's still context where it's quite all right for somebody who isn't an African American to use that word.
Oh, look who's here.
And there has to be, because you cannot police language to the extent that it is. And it's the same way with words like tranny. It's like, 90% of the time, if a cis person uses that word, it's probably going to be for horrible purposes unless they're talking about cars.
Well, how many of you have seen the news articles? I mean, this has been happening
I still don't believe in policing it.
Over the years, there have been school districts that have removed Mark Twain's novels from their shelves because of the use of a certain word. In Huckleberry Finn, there was an explosion somewhere, and Huck was asking one of the locals about the explosion, and was anybody hurt? And the guy said, no, but it killed a N-word.
What about the changing of children's stories? Like Enid Blyton's Noddy stories, because she had gollywogs, and gollywogs were apparently some euphemism for African Americans because they were little black dolls.
Oh, I didn't know that one. Is that in
your... Yeah, no, they did. And
is that in your neighborhood,
took them out. They replaced
what?
them with goblins. So in the new stories, there's no gollywogs, there are goblins. It's the same stories,
I remember,
just rewrote them.
Like, some of the things people flipped out about, where, take, for example, Ender's Game, where the aliens were insects and everyone called them buggers. But because buggery is gay sex, they changed it to formix because, like ants and formic acid and all of that stuff. And I was like, dude, come on. Come on. I mean,
buggers are so much better.
No, just no. This is where I want to cash it in and say, screw all this. Okay, wait a minute. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Remember when the N-word first got its label, the N-word, and everybody with the lack of education overreacted and started screaming at people for using the word niggardly?
Oh, my word.
Oh, gosh, yes, I remember that.
I know of a case where somebody got fired for that.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
how are you, other Jen?
Like, I don't know. I mean, people love to flip out at words they don't understand, and it can be hilarious sometimes. Where, like, they did that interview, I think it was on Jimmy Kimmel, where it's like, so how do you feel about Homo sapiens?
Yeah, okay.
And people, because homo to them means something else.
Yes, it does.
They were, it also, like, people saying, let's ban dihydrogen monoxide.
I love that one. Every time I see a reference to it.
Brilliant, that one.
Yeah, and it's just, people are really dumb when it comes to, like, okay, this word sounds like that one, so it's got to be bad. It's got to be related to that other one.
Well, there was a bit of an argument I was in several years ago when I was first getting on the air. Somebody was complaining that somebody was calling Trump a dotard. Is it dotard or dotard? Or whatever it is. But because that word has the letters T-A-R-D at the end, it was an objectionable word. And I'm explaining, no, that's not, and I pulled out the etymology and everything else. It's not that this person didn't know or thought the T-A-R-D was a bad thing. It was once I explained, he said, I don't care.
Yeah. And
that's
it's
ignorant.
not like tard is a suffix. If you don't have the re on there, it's meaningless.
Yeah, the
if
word
you don't have
read
the
was
dough
retarded
on
as
there,
you
it's
slowed
meaningless.
down.
It's, I mean, it's not a suffix.
The word dotard, or I guess it's dotard
when
or whatever.
It's used as a suffix, though, the intent is to use it in the same vernacular as retard.
Well, then it's a derogatory thing.
Stupid and derogatorily.
Yeah,
and
but
I
mean,
take
even
great
then,
offense
it's just
to
a
it.
truncation
I have
of
worked
the
with-
word retard. It's not,
And retard doesn't necessarily mean someone who's stupid anyway. Because
when
you to retard something means to slow it down.
That's where the word came from as a name for a level of intelligence.
I will admit that
I
people
work with retarded folks. That's what they were called back then. And,
but is that the actual etymology of the word, Jen?
Well, but I mean, retarded just means like I mean, like
To
if
slow
something
down.
Retarded growth, it means it was slowed down.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just a
So surely the
an
etymology of the
expression
word would be from that, and it just
Right.
went over to the mental health.
In that day, it wasn't used as a negative. The client or patient was called a retarded person as a clinical description, and it was not seen as a negative. It was picked up as a negative in common street usage and became derogatory over time.
Yeah,
now it is purely derogatory.
I
we call them mentally disabled.
Just took a look here,
and I object to its usage as a suffix to imply something similar to ignorance or slowness or retardation.
I
think it's very wrong. Period.
I had a look at this.
You'll never change my mind.
Okay, on that one, I'll grant you. You know, I'll get back to Ryan in a minute. Just looked up the word retard, and we have the origins. Latin, the prefix re, which is back, and tardus, which is slow.
Time.
Where we also get tardigrade, for example.
So we can't say tardigrade
stepper. The whole thing is all about slow. Now, where am I coming from here? I'm trying to keep this all in my... I need to use my notebook more often. Back with Ryan. It was he didn't care. I've lost it since then. I need to write these things down.
I think you lost it long ago.
Say again?
I think you lost it long ago.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've known me long enough to be able to make that judgment, right?
I have a question.
I have all the answers. What do you want?
Not the one about where babies.
How long will it be until the OK symbol is banned off of YouTube? Like,
I thought it was already done, really.
Not necessarily. It's with the ACL or ACA, I think. I forget what it's called.
Well, and I've started now using this for 0 instead of that. You know, like I've been saying to people, oh, the number of gods I believe in is 0. You know, because this
Why
is
have they banned the OK symbol?
It's being used by white.
Oh, it's supposedly, and that whole thing started off as a fucking joke, if I remember correctly. Wasn't it Eddie Murphy had said something about or was it something else?
It started on 4chan.
Oh, okay, fine.
It's used as a racial expression. Secret sign was started by the racist bastards.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, supposedly you were only it only meant that if it was below your waist.
Right, or held upside down.
But the funny thing about that is that there was the circle game where if you could get someone to look at the OK symbol below the waist, you get to punch them on the arm. You know, like 2 for flinching.
Okay.
That one.
But it was in an episode of Malcolm in the Middle, and I've since seen other people mention it too. But then it became racist, and I'm like, so how do you play the circle game now?
Yeah. And, I mean, just go to Berlin and be a typical American in Berlin, and you're going to see this all the time because auf Deutsch, this is arsehole. You know, because you got that whole ring chakra.
ASL, in American Sign Language, it still means that, but you have to hold it like this. Like, this is not. This is in ASL.
Okay,
and
fine.
Of course, if you do that, you mean they're masturbating. So.
Well, yeah.
Well, they're awake now.
Yeah.
Pig.
I remember back in like the 90s or something, you know, this was just, whatever.
Yeah, my signal for asshole is just to bend over and spread my cheeks.
Oh.
And you're telling me to behave, Lavender.
You can't do that on YouTube.
One thing that was kind of funny was a Louis C.K. routine where he was talking about people like this, and he was saying, what if there's one guy, like he has OCD or something, and when he does this, he has to finish?
Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Oh,
yeah, Louis C.K.'s in a class by himself, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love his comedy. Of course, it's another case of don't meet your heroes, because then he has that whole like scandal of like masturbating in front of women behind the stage or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn it, can't you be a nicer guy than that?
Wasn't his story like he
why
walked
is that
into
the
his
case
room?
with so many celebrities that
I mean, maybe they just get full of themselves. Like their own fame leads them to believe that they can get away with it. I don't know.
There are some people I am sort of happy I've never met. I'm kind of happy I never met Silverman. With all
he's a very nice guy.
Who's Silverman?
with all the garbage surrounding him, it's almost like you get anywhere near him and you're somehow tainted.
Who's Silverman?
I guess, but I mean, I've met him at conventions, and he is a very nice guy.
This is what I'm led to understand. You know, it's well, I don't know lately, well, I understand that he's rather angry at what's been going on. And
Who is Silverman?
Former president of American Atheist.
Oh, okay.
David Silverman.
Yeah, David Silverman.
Who else am I happy I've not met? Well, I don't know. In a way, I'm almost glad I never met Neil Armstrong because I really hate to see what anything is about him.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, I remember, I've been a big fan of Babylon 5 for a long time. And then when I found out that Jerry Doyle, who plays Garibaldi or played Garibaldi, was like this rabid and screaming right-winger. And I'm like, ugh. He was one of my favorite characters on the show, and then I find out the actor is like, I don't know. I mean, I just...
He's also dead now.
Well, yes. That's why I said he was...
Oh, yes, I missed that.
Right-winger.
Yeah.
I chose that word deliberately.
Yeah, it's I'm looking at it, excuse me. Damn it, I quit smoking a long time ago, and I'm still clogged up. Back when I first discovered NCG Studios, Silverman was on there a number of times. I'm thinking, gee, I wish I could be on there and actually meet him. But this was several years ago before anything hit the airwaves, and just being anywhere near him made you a pariah.
Well, we could get into like the recent debacle in the YouTube atheism community that would make multiple people a pariah depending on which side you took. I'm looking at you, Essence of Thought. But, yeah.
Oh, I've got my share of backlash from that one. I actually had to take a stand in support of racial, and that
I got banned too.
yeah, that particular group that worships Essence of Thought just said, okay.
Yeah, it is worship, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, I did not use that word lightly.
No.
And if any of you are listening in, Objectively Subjective and Mrs. Snarky and Faithless Southerner, etc., 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 I'm talking about you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I lost some good friends
Twitter,
over that
and,
one.
I'm blocked by them
Maggie
all, so I don't see it.
me. I never really publicly came out. Like, I never made a video about the topic. I very specifically avoided it because I'm like, I don't need the shitstorm.
Yeah.
But I went looking on Twitter and discovered that most of them have blocked me already, despite my never interacting with them on the topic. So.
I didn't make a video or anything. I actually, what I did was I simply used the hashtag. And because I came out in support, I felt I had to, because I'd been standing aside and saying nothing for so long. And I do have a position, and it is not in favor of Essence of Thought. Sorry. I'm not necessarily in favor completely of rationality rules either. They are both flawed.
My favorite.
But rationality rules at least had a certain amount of self-examination.
Yes.
A willingness to say I screwed up.
Yes.
A certain amount of integrity.
His path to that is what was faulty. His procedure in dealing with his coming to the realization that he was wrong was lacking.
Well, but even so, he showed a willingness.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree.
And that is, to me, a sign of integrity, and it makes me want to respect him a lot more. Plus, we've also met in person, so that helped.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't have any issues. I don't have any issues with him. So
yeah, the
What
only
is
issue
I don't
really
agree
have
with him, but I don't
uh,
have issues with him.
the only issue I might have with Rationality Rules was when we got to that convention and I mentioned my name, he was like, "Hill?" And I was like, "Dude, I've been in the YouTube atheist community for more than a decade and you don't know my name?"
Oh man. Well, when I was talking to Aaron in July, he talked about one of the things that went down at the convention, where they were getting the panel together, of the YouTubers to talk about this, that, and the other. And he's looking over to his side, and why aren't you there? You've been, I think you've been around longer than he has, right?
I don't know, but it's at least pretty similar. And I remember him asking me, "Why aren't you up there?" And
Yeah.
I said I was never asked. And he looked genuinely offended by that. And he said, "Okay, before the year is out, we're getting you on a panel somewhere." So, I mean,
Cool.
and I
That'll be
already
good.
had tons of respect for Aaron Ra. I consider him a friend. He's one of the best people
Yeah,
I
I like
know.
Aaron.
Yeah.
And that only just further elevated him in my never humble opinion.
No,
I got to stare at him in person. It was cool.
he
By the way, you're what, cybernetic dancer?
Something like that.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell in his expression, in his vocal tone, that he was not pleased
Yeah.
about the way you were treated,
Yeah.
or not treated, as the case may be. And I'm with him on that one. Well, of course I'm with him on that one, but
Well,
this.
there's definitely a click, and I'm definitely on the outside of it.
And, okay, in some ways, I can see why. And in seeing why, I'm rather happy that you are on the outside, because that means that you're not like those people who are not including you.
I suppose, but at the same time, some of them are pretty nice. Some of them are people I like. They just seem to have this blind spot where I'm concerned. And like the few times I have been included, it has done nothing but wonders for my subscriber count. And I think that's part of why a lot of them are as popular as they are. And like Surus right now is catching up to me in sub numbers. And I'm just like,
well, for fuck's sake, he's only been around for what, a year and a half?
it's something like that. And I'm just sitting here thinking if I was a little more on the inside, it might help my YouTube career.
Yeah, but the real inside group is a really close click, and it is hard to get an involvement.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk a lot. I of those ones who you consider the real insides of the atheist group. The only one I ever really talked to is Shannon.
Okay.
I have spoken to Paul once or twice. I used to speak to G and Caitlin Chloe, but I told Caitlin she was wrong about something, and G bit my head off and blocked me. Yeah, I was like, fuck off.
Well, and this
people
is
just can't be wrong.
And this is why I hold, and it's entirely self-serving, I understand, but this is one of the reasons that I hold Aaron in such high esteem. When I was out to the protest in July, he appeared genuinely happy to see me. I walked out onto the green, and as I do with so many people that I have met or interacted with once or twice, pointed in his direction. Hey, do I know you? Have I seen you somewhere before? And he's got this big smile on his face. Yeah, of course I've seen you. Hi! And I was like, are you pleased to see me or what? It's like, God, I never expected anything like that. Who am I? I mean, everybody out there, who the hell is this lavender lady person, for God's sake?
A very old person.
Yes, I'll give you that. In spades.
Another one.
I don't know what your experience is with the atheist community, Diana, but I tend to find that those at the top have their own little clique, and it is really hard for you to break in.
Oh, it is, yeah. And this is why I'm happy about the people with whom I have been able to interact. I mean, Aaron being one of them, Martimer81 being another one. We've
he's a sweetie.
Yes,
I
he
love
is, absolutely. I love him dearly.
Other people I really well, if you go to the more skeptical side, that actually do debunking of other stuff, not just atheism, so
Yeah.
like Martimer and people like that, that side is way more inclusive when they're doing other things as well. That's what I've tended to find. Like people like Conspiracy Cats, Fight the Flat Earth, and people, that group, they'll talk to you and they'll be more inclusive.
Yeah, okay.
Even somebody who's got as big a following as someone like Simon Dan, he will actually respond to you and talk to you.
And this is
and that's another thing I don't get is when content creators don't comment on their own videos. If someone says something that needs a response, I respond. If someone is talking to me directly, I'll often respond. It's just interact with your audience, and they tend to like you more.
And yeah, you can paddle me if you feel you need to, because I am a bit remiss with that. I'm a bit remiss with even looking at the comment sections, and I know I should.
That looks like fun, Kate.
Oh, I have found that to be a very useful prop.
So, okay. How much are
Wait,
you
that's
into
a prop?
BSDM?
Actually, I mean, I'm not into BDSM in pretty much any way, but the number of times I felt the need to issue a paddle, and I felt the need to have a paddle just to illustrate the point. It's usually reserved for vertical video, but there have been other times when I felt the need to bring out the old paddle.
And okay, I mean, let's tread some let's tread some thin ice here. This is one of the reasons that I am so thrilled, so happy, so grateful that you even pay any attention to me, Kate. I mean, seriously.
I don't even remember how I found you in the first place.
I do. Okay.
Oh, I know. Hold on. Can I answer this one, Diana?
Oh, Lord. Okay, let's see how close you come to not being right.
All right. So, if you look out your bedroom window, there will be a tree. And in that tree, you'll find an old lady with some binoculars staring into the window. That lady is Lavender.
Yeah, pretty darn close there, Piggy.
That would be how she found me, not the other way around.
Well, eventually you saw her in the tree.
Okay, what actually happened here, if you remember back when Maddie was known as the Godless Iowan,
right.
There was a show called the Transatlantic Atheist Alliance with Maddie, with Snarky, Demi, Andy Ordinary, and myself as personnel. And that whole transatlantic thing came from Demi and I are trans, and we were on other sides of the Atlantic, so that's where that came from. We had a show monthly. In June, I took my leave of the show that month because my friend wanted me down to the Pride Festival to so I could meet her fiance, and that's another woman I want to punch in the face for dumping Cassia while she was in the hospital, but this is another story entirely. And he approached you, and you filled in for me. In July, Demi took a month off, and you filled in for Demi. And that's where I was just over the moon entirely when you followed me. Well, of course, mainly it was just to have the link and everything else to talk to you and everything else. But
where's the window?
And yeah, that's when I, oh boy, at the ends of the shows, when we would get to talking, it's So I found out how easy you were to talk to, and
I mean,
what a
something
wonderful person you are. And, this is not my bias here. My bias comes from that.
Well, one thing I keep trying to explain to people, and I guess they don't get it, is that I look at other YouTubers and say, you are not beneath me. Even if your subscriber count is not the same, even if you've only been around for a couple of months, you are not less than me because of it. It's your behavior that will make me find you in contempt or say you're a lesser person. It's not your clout, you know? I mean,
my videos being cut.
So that is something I've tried to explain to people, and it seems like they don't get it.
Oh, you're gonna hate me for a while, and then you're gonna start to love me.
Okay.
Why is that, Piggy?
If that's the case, that's literally everyone.
Well, I have already been on the hated you side, and I'm starting to come around here. Just don't blow it, okay?
I'll just be Piggy.
I've already been warned about you, Piggy. Like, that you can come off abrasive, but underneath it all, you're actually quite nice.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know the nice part, but I do like the abrasiveness.
I will say it that that Sci would always tell me that he saw something in there, and it was okay, Sci. I'll trust you. I will. I respect your opinion. And all I'm going to say, Piggy, is don't make a liar out of my dear friend.
I believe you had a big fight with Fight the Flat Earth, Piggy.
Yes.
That
was actually interesting. Well, it essentially extends from a few basic things, right? For instance, one of the things that he uses to gain support and financial support is his injury. And there's stories with that injury that contradict each other. Okay. Like full on, one story is he was crushed by a hydraulic piston, while for the same injury, one was he slipped and fell.
Okay.
And it extends from that even further when you start looking at, claims of his education. Extends that even further when you start looking at very basic things that he will proclaim that is just outright wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when shit doesn't add up, and then he's using it to further himself, financially especially. Yeah. There's a problem there. It's a little bit problematic.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've heard stories about these hydraulic pistons and all of that, but what I've never seen is a hydraulic poopton.
Oh. Many reasons, Kate, but this is just one of them.
Is that the tin on the end of a hydraulic lever that you can shit in?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sure. Okay. Don't overthink it.
It reminds you of 2 girls in 1 cup.
It's just a very childish joke. I mean, it's kind of like I've been suspecting for a while that there's a very good chance I'm on like the autistic spectrum, and I did a couple of online tests to see like maybe I should get professional testing, but let's see what these say. But every time I hear Asperger's,
that's a lot of us.
I hear Asperger's, and I can't help it.
That's a lot of us, so don't worry about that.
I actually haven't watched South Park since like the early to late 90s. I can't remember the last time I actually sat down. You know what it was? It was the movie. The last time I watched South Park, it was that movie they made.
Okay.
I like the movie.
No, but I mean, just to back up a couple of steps, it's that early interaction that you and I had, Kate, that really sparked.
Oh, that's a lot of steps.
Yeah, that really sparked everything. I mean, that's what started everything. Basically, it was just Bam! So it's all your fault. You know that.
It was love at first sight.
Yes, it was!
Okay, it's time for you two to get a room.
I have a question. Well, I always have questions. Okay, so one of the things that I was wondering about,
yes, dear,
is why lavender out of everything? Why lavender?
Okay, that's actually a reference to my queerness.
Okay.
Because
So like purple.
Yeah, the queer is described as lavender, and I guess I'm not quite as queer as they come, but I'm pretty damn close.
Okay, because whenever going by your name, I expected like heavy lavender scent when I met you, and I didn't get that, and I was confused. So.
No, I do like the scent of lavender. I prefer roses. I really do. But roses aren't associated with, flaming lesbians and shit like that,
Well, actually, there is a dyke bar in Seattle called the Wild Rose.
Oh, really?
That sounds like fun.
Yep.
There used to be a dyke bar in Milwaukee called the Non Sequitur.
Call Steve. That's another one I wish would just die down and go away.
Well, we're getting close to that.
It's going away.
Yeah, Steve won his court case, so it's going
Yeah,
away.
I saw that. I caught the tail end of his live stream.
So.
Tail end.
Mm.
Sorry,
very
that's where my brain goes. I can't help it. It's kind of like on those rare occasions when I watch football and someone talks about a tight end.
Yeah, which one of them has it? I reckon none of them, because you know what they get up to in the change rooms.
I'm sure.
There was a joke, I forget exactly what it was, but it involved tight end and wide receiver. But somebody remembers the punchline, we can reconstruct the joke, but I can't even remember the punchline.
Oh,
Has
I'm
it got
sure.
to do with hands and spreading? Sorry, I took it there.
Not going to comment.
So Piggy, had you actually finished your tale about Fight the Flat Earth, or?
There's too much to go into.
I will have to have a talk to you about it sometime, because I just want to know. It was like, oh, you were doing production for him, and all of a sudden not. It was like, and he made a big thing about going off at you on all these other videos, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. Oh no, redacted.
It was because I started asking questions that he, quit working with me.
Okay.
And that was like, oh, well, what am I on? And so I kept digging further and further, and that led to a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, redacted says, I'm autistic. The symptoms get worse as you get older. I had to give up work when I was 35, and it's unlikely I'll ever work again. I had no idea that this was progressive.
Well, you know what's awfully handy is when you're your own damn boss.
Okay.
That works wonders. I wish I was my own boss.
No, you don't.
It's wonderful when you're a YouTuber and that's your career.
Well, it's a lot harder than a lot of people think, though.
Well, I just find, like, when I'm done making a video, I'm actually more, let's say, emotionally drained than I am with any other work I've ever done. It really does take its toll.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I love it, and I don't want to give it up.
Oh, same here. I mean, not that I'm making a living at it or anything, or ever expect to, but the whole process and everything is very, very rewarding. Especially, I really like the live broadcasting because, okay, it is an instant reward or whatever you want to call that. You're getting your.
It's also good social interaction.
Yeah. To be sitting here with you folks and just talking, and we're talking with each other, playing off each other, that sort of thing. That's a really wonderful thing to me. Now,
the thing is, watching a live broadcast is actually really hard for me because I want to participate more.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I want to be in the chat because it's easier to take part in it. And just listening to other people talk is not that much fun, for me at least. It feels like being left out, frankly. It's like, have you ever been in a large group of people and they're all talking about something and you have no interest whatsoever in the topic, but you're there and it would be really awkward to leave? And you're looking for an opportunity to interject somehow, so you're participating. It's kind of like that. It's just, I find it quite boring if I'm not in it.
Oh, I've experienced that more than once on my own show.
There is something that I have a problem with.
Yes, dear.
And that's and when you're in person, you can't just walk away from a conversation, right? Like someone's talking to you. You can't just be like, okay, bye, and then go away. Online, I can just hit this red X button. And you guys don't care.
Well, actually, that's not entirely true, because if you happen to click that red button because you're pissed off, people will be like, rage quit, ha ha, like freaking playground children, toddler, rat bastard.
Yeah, but you can just ignore it. When there's someone physically in the room with you, you can't ignore that, and it's like, yeah. Oh, fuck, I'm here now.
And I also tend to look down on you if you just, slug someone right in the snout, too, so.
Okay.
Having never done that, I have no idea.
A
lot of people frown upon that.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So what's your knowledge like on sci-fi? Okay.
Who you ask it? Oh, me? Pretty extensive, although there are definitely some blind spots and a few things I really rabidly don't like. I may
talk to you about
a long time ago. We're talking like late 90s. Some friends of mine thought, "Hey, I know. Let's give Kate a
Pig, you might want to mute that microphone
for her birthday." And I was like, okay. And we played one game, and I won where nobody else got to have another turn, because I knew that much about Star Wars. And they were like, okay, you're only allowed to have one turn. You can only get one pie wedge. And then it's someone else's turn. Your turn's over. And I still won the game. And so now that Star Wars Trivia Pursuit game is sat in my closet. It's been played with twice. So, yeah.
I just discovered that variant not that long ago. I mean, we're talking days here. That I had not realized that there was a variant where you get one pie wedge and then your turn ends. And
they made it up on the spot. I don't think it was in, nobody checked the rule book. They just said, okay, sorry, you don't get to play like that. You don't get to skunk us. And I was like, okay, and I still won. So
yeah, because I don't know, maybe Wikipedia was referring to you then when it was actually in there with some variant exists so somebody wouldn't run the board, and it sounds a lot like your story.
Well, it's pretty Facebook, so I suspect that it didn't go beyond that circle of friends, but still.
Yeah, just giving you a hard time. But oh my, it's.
You had a reason for asking.
Yeah, I had a reason for asking. I'm currently putting together a series on space, which is going to be about. It's going to have history of astronomy and rocketry and space travel, future and stuff like that. But I'm planning on doing an episode in it that's about science fiction.
Okay.
And I was wondering if you want it, and I'm going to do that episode as a online stream with a few different people talking about it. I was wondering if you'd be interested.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it a double feature? Sorry. Yes, I would be interested. I would definitely be interested.
Okay, I will. I'll let you know when it's going down, and I'll see if you're available, and we'll try and queue up a time.
Okay, cool. Well, I realize we're in slightly different time zones.
Slightly.
Everybody who's going to be part of that is not going to be in my time zone, and my time zone is never the best time to publish anything anyway. So the chances are I will be doing a late nighter like this, just so it comes out of the day.
Not for Americans
Probably an
anyway.
early morning more than a late nighter. Sorry?
Not for Americans anyway. I mean, you're 12 hours ahead of me.
Yeah, so it's 1:30 in the morning for me.
Yeah.
So, but what I'd probably do is I'd probably do an 8 a.m. stream for me, so it's like 8 o'clock at night or something like that, which works out.
That was one of the things.
And that's actually not too bad. So.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have, like I say, some blind spots and a few, like, feelings of loathing for certain sci-fi. Like,
I wouldn't know which those would be.
I've never watched Lex. I could only get through 2 episodes of Andromeda. Things like that.
I
absolutely hate Blade Runner. I don't know. Like I could do a whole rant on why Blade Runner sucks. But
really, you do not like Blade Runner?
Okay,
I
the
love the
visuals
movie.
are amazing.
Yes,
but
yeah,
it is
they
one
are.
of the most slow movies.
Yes, it is.
You that. It is a
Oh my
slow
gosh!
movie.
And when people hear me say that, they're like, "Oh, so you just wanted to shoot them up?" I'm like, "No, I want people to deliver their lines more quickly." you know, but also like I had someone go, well, this is the deeper message of Blade Runner about like what it means to be human and to be a person. I'm like, wow, no wonder I didn't enjoy it, because all of those deeper questions for me are well dug gimmies. I'm like,
your feeling about Blade Runner is my feeling for 2001.
News.
Oh, well, 2001.
How you feel about Blade Runner is how I feel about 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Well, I feel that way about 2001 as well.
Well, 2001.
It is slow. It's a great story, but it is just slow. It takes so long to get anywhere.
Well, yeah, it's a great story.
Should not make me shout, "Get on with it!"
It's a great story until the end, when it really, really falls apart.
I could not. It works better in the novel than it does.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Yeah. And I find it interesting how in the novel, it's not Jupiter, it's Saturn.
Okay.
Seriously, in the novelization, they go to Saturn and not Jupiter.
I had forgotten all about that. Well, it's been a while since I've read the novel. I was in high school when I read the novel, so that wasn't last week.
Yeah.
They couldn't CGI the rings, that's why.
And if we're not just talking about like movies and television, though, I mean, there are some books I could talk about that
books are great too.
Like some of them are amazing, and some of them, oh my gosh, why does anybody enjoy this? Like Heinlein for me is very hit or miss. Because Stranger in a Strange Land is amazing. Starship Troopers is fun. Red Planet's pretty good. But there was one I was reading, I think it's Time Enough for Love.
Oh, yeah.
The enjoyment,
I haven't read it. I've heard about it.
Interminable dialogue. Oh my gosh. And it's just like, dude, make something happen. There's no plot here. It's just people chatting. This is no fun.
I've read plenty of books like that, unfortunately.
Well,
I mean, that was the same problem with Foundation. I tried reading Foundation finally quite recently, and I was like, there's no characters here. It's like two people will go into an office, they'll have a bit of a chin wag, and then the whole timeline jumps another 1,000 years, and it's two new people having a bit of a chat, and then it jumps another thing. I'm like, this is no fun. There's nobody for me to get attached to. I don't care about any people.
I got that from it too. I started looking at Foundation because of Isaac Arthur, because he does a show each week about science and stuff, and it's one of his favorite books, and he recommended it, and I was the same as you. I was like, what is the point of this?
Yeah. I mean, maybe there is a larger plot somewhere, but I've found that what keeps me watching or reading is when you make me give a crap about the characters. You make me get attached to them. I mean, that was part of the beauty of Firefly, is that the people
Firefly was amazing.
They were people that I wish I knew in real life, and that helps. But then you take something like Rogue One, where I don't even remember the names of any of the characters. They never made me care about anybody. I didn't give a shit.
And then they killed them all. Every single one. You didn't even have someone survive.
This is not how you make a good movie.
No.
And then, well, there was the one...
Let me interrupt real quick.
Huh?
Everyone, link in the description thingy, Dana.
Oh, yes, many much. We can do this. Let's get the...
link to what?
The eraser of the funds.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, that's why we're here, actually, when you really come down to it.
Well, it's not why I'm
gonna go see my dog real quick.
Let's throw this in the side chat.
Roll the bones. Anyway.
Oh man, I'll tell you, I love that song. I really do.
I mean, Rush for me is a hit and miss band, but I love that song.
Same here. And I'm the one who knew about Rush when they were first getting started.
And which song? Because I missed that bit.
Roll the Bones.
Oh, yeah.
Why are we here? Because we're here. Roll the Bones. Yeah. I remember when they were getting their start, when they were coming to the Agora in Cleveland. Christ, I was in high school then. And I grew up in the Cleveland area, so I knew about them. My ex was a big Rush fan. She worshipped the drummer. What the hell was his name?
I don't know drummers very well.
Wasn't
Lars something, or was that a different band?
I am going to see.
I'm pretty sure there's like a drummer or a bassist named Lars something, and he's like super freaking famous.
Oh! Here we go. Neil Peart.
Okay.
She absolutely worshipped Neil Peart.
I have a very difficult time getting attached to drummers. It's like I understand some of them have a lot of talent, but I don't really have the knowledge enough of drumming to appreciate it. I just know that it helps a song.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess that might be a blind spot in my music appreciation, but honestly, it's not a focus of mine.
No, okay, it's not strictly drumming. It's, percussion, which includes xylophone and a few other interesting things. But something I found years ago, which I dearly loved, was something written by Carl Orff. It was called Gassenhauer. It's just a pretty little thing, all with percussion instruments. I used it as an intro to my show for a while, so you may or may not have heard it. Then again, you probably.
I think not applicable twice. There's right. It might be Metallica. I'm thinking of the Lars did. I don't know. I can't keep track of that stuff. There's like only a few bands where the names have stuck in my head of even necessarily the main singers, never mind the musicians. And it doesn't help that like my favorite band is a duo and they've swapped up the rest of the band a couple of times. So
Jess, yes, there is problem with camera 2. It's just not working at all. So I'm in the wings here, and yeah, that's fine by me. You don't have to look at my ugly mug. But I'm going to have to figure out. Jen, while we're at it, that other broadcasting program, so the name started with a J. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I think it's written in Java.
Jitsi.
Wait,
Jitsi.
Jitsi?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm going to look at that and see if that's any better than this thing I'm running, because I get some problems with this, and I'm not all that happy with it, and I'm going to do some exploration and see if we can't.
You're using
one of the things you can do for that to enable you to capture everybody's thing is you can actually join the chat twice.
I've tried that from this system, and it ran me into some problems. And I didn't spend all that much time with it to hammer out the difficulties.
Yeah, Google doesn't like letting you do it, but if you actually run two browsers, two different... So I've done it by running Firefox and Google Chrome. You can connect to Jitsi twice from your machine. And that way one of them you can use as the screen that you do your captures from in OBS, and the other one can be your interaction. So you only have to have a camera on one of them.
Okay.
And you can mute yourself on the other one as well, so you don't even have audio for it. So it's just getting the video coming back.
If you are using less than 6 people normally, I would recommend Skype with what is it called?
I know what you're talking about.
Don't forget that I'm not
Skype creators.
Yeah, it's a direct capture. Basically, OBS can grab the individual video streams as a webcam.
Yeah.
So that way, you have somebody join, you just got their webcam, and you can place it on the screen and resize it to wherever you want if you use Skype. But the problem you have with that is everybody you want to join has to have Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which Skype's free, easy.
And then the other problem is, I mean, it's a problem with me, and well, all the problems usually are because I'm not one to do what's popular. Remember that I don't run Windows.
Yeah, Jitsi should be fine because you can still run Google Chrome and Firefox.
I mean, the problem I have with Skype and all that stuff is things get a little testy with Linux.
Well, like I said, you should be able to do it with Jitsi. You'll lose a bit of video quality compared to what you're getting with Google, though.
At this point, I'm not sure I care. I mean, just as long as we get the stuff on the air and it works and the audience is happy with it, I'm okay. It could be inside out of it. See what?
I think Google Meets, where you can change the layout, just the basic tiled layout would be good enough for you.
Yeah, that's what I do. Oh no, because when you do the tiled layout, you appear in the top corner. So Diana could do, but the way you can do that, Diana, with OBS, is what you do is you use the tiled layout and you put everybody in one area, and then you grab yourself from your camera, because you can grab yourself from the camera plus serve your camera out to other people. So you grab your camera within OBS as well, and you can view yourself on the camera.
I guess that's something you're able to do under Windows, because I can't do it under Linux.
Oh, really?
I've tried to capture my own camera under Linux.
Okay, because
that's why I have two cameras.
Are you no longer on Ubuntu?
Oh, I'm on Ubuntu. Right now I'm running 16.
You said you switched to Windows at one point.
I didn't switch. Yeah. I bought a copy of Windows and I installed it because, two reasons. The main reason was that Sci was using Zoom in movie night, and Zoom kills my Linux dead. It just destroys it completely.
What are the actual benefits of sticking to Linux?
I like it.
Yeah. Lavender.
Is there?
You can set it up to dual boot, so you can switch between Linux.
Yeah,
and
that's
Windows.
What I have.
Well,
I have dual boot set up.
I have to ask though. I mean, you say you like it, but what are the advantages?
It runs well for the most part for me. I've had nothing but problems with Windows ever since I installed it. And one of the reasons I gave up on it was that it was giving me problems 20 years ago. it was, and literally, I gave up on Windows in 1999. And
well, you know, it's improved a bit since then.
Not much.
I found the improvements, which, you see, I like my hair. All my friends,
Diana, most of us don't have the same problems with Windows that you do.
All of my friends most of my friends anyway, were bald by the time they were 35. And I was so happy that I still had my hair, because remember, I was born a boy. And this is all mine, guys. And I don't want to be tearing it out. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I look at the programs I want to run, especially a lot of the games, and they're probably not going to work on anything but Windows.
You're absolutely right.
Linux is, I mean, it's very popular with a lot of people, but let's face it, it's kind of on the fringe.
Yeah, it is.
And it just seems like it would be kind of to one's detriment to insist on it.
I'd really like to get Windows 10 working.
Actually, Dana, if you use Jitsi,
that sounds like a job for me.
The tile mode in Jitsi actually includes yourself in it. Unlike this one.
Okay,
so you don't actually see
what we've got going on over here. Let's see if I can remember. God, Clarion, don't lose track of what you're talking about. Damn it! I hate it when that happens to me.
Old people.
Yeah, definitely.
Pig, screw you about this old people crap, you know? You're just a young little fuck.
Hey, I'm
we shouldn't make
one here,
joke
and I just keep feeling younger and younger being here. The 90s.
How young are you, Piggy?
I'm 20.
Oh, fuck's sake. You're a baby.
Yeah, he's not even as old as Tornado.
I just love it when people guess my age way the heck younger than I am. Because that happens ever so frequently.
Well, that happened to somebody.
Oh, you mean you don't know? Yes, totally guess.
Okay.
I mean, well,
37.
The problem is that you've heard me mention things like the 90s and stuff, so clearly you're not going to be basing it solely on looks. Because when people don't have that context and they base it solely on looks, they tend to go a lot younger.
I'm
going to say 37.
Yeah, 43.
Damn it.
Yeah, there was somebody I was talking to recently.
Years younger than me. It's shameful.
Well, I mean, it's kind of funny though. Like people meet me and they hear me talking about stuff where they're like, "You couldn't possibly know any of that at your age." I'm like, well,
you know, I thought you were mid-30s as well, so.
Yeah, there was the.
People guessing my 20s sometimes, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I didn't think that, but then again, I knew how long you'd been on YouTube for, so.
There's the person I was talking to after one of the Sunday shows, who thought you were extremely young, and it was like, no, she's 43, and it was like, what? You know? Yeah.
I love that reaction.
What? I mean, I started watching atheist content on YouTube 7 or 8 years ago, and I started with Aaron Ra, Atheist and the Atheist Experience, and then I followed you, Kate.
Oh.
So I've watched you not from the beginning, but for quite a while.
It's kind of funny. There are some channels, I don't know if they're still around, or some of them that don't make atheism content anymore or any of that. And sometimes I just wonder, like, what happened? And there's also, like, people that atheists or YouTube atheists today don't even know about. Like, they don't know that these people used to be a thing. Like, I remember when Coughlin 666 and the Peach and all of those folks were still around, and like some of the blank looks I'm getting right now make me go, yeah, you guys don't remember them, do you?
No, wait a minute.
I've heard of Coughlin, but not Peach.
When you're talking about Peach,
Peach. I didn't say there weren't three of them.
Oh, okay.
Her name was just the Peach.
The Peach.
Because apparently that's actually like her real first name is Peach.
Oh, you are talking about who I thought you were talking about. Okay, Rob's wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait,
rewind. Whose wife?
Rob. Dev Shell.
Oh, thank you, Dev Shell. Thank you. Because there's a lot of people where I only know their online names.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes. No, I don't know. Didn't know them, but the other one I had heard of. So.
Yeah, and I mean, there's others too who just seem to have gone away, and I'm like, what? Where?
Rob is still out there. I see him post on Facebook from time to time, but no, he hasn't made any films in a long time.
Yeah, and I remember, what was the one guy? He was playing a character where he was supposed to be a fundamentalist Christian, but kept in clean cut. But he was totally joking, taking the piss, and I'm trying to remember what his name was. But
man, you got me.
He managed to do the like the smarmy sort of like Ned Flanders kind of thing, but who am I thinking of? Damn it! I might actually still even be subscribed to him. He just hasn't made anything in a while.
There's a lot. This is the thing. There are a lot of people who haven't made anything in a while. It's gonna
bug me too.
I have a question.
I mean, I can go through my subscription list somehow, I'm sure.
Kate, do you remember John Smith?
John Smith.
Yeah, he's the one that was doing the Bible readings, and you'd have like sprinkle, and the whole thing. Okay, he was a fun one, and I haven't seen anything out of him in over 10 years. I'm
looking here through. I'm seeing some names in my subscription list. I mean, I know she says, "Oh my God, it's Chris," but I always think of her as Zomgets, but she hasn't made anything in freaking ages. And I missed that. DPR Jones is another one who hasn't made anything in forever.
He was just on The Wire a couple of days ago. He's not there on a regular basis, but the Magic Sandwich Show is getting resurrected.
Okay, I'm pretty sure, and man, shit's loading slowly because of the rendering I'm doing, but yeah, here we go. Edward Current is the guy I'm thinking of. Edward Current.
That name does not ring any bells with me, but then again...
It does for me.
I mean, but he was going for Mr. Clean Cut like you wouldn't believe. He had the prissy polo shirt going on and holding the Bible like this and all that. But I mean, he was totally like over the top aping them. Like, what's her face? What the hell's her name? Oh, she has that sort of Miss Manners thing. You know who I'm talking about?
Wait a minute. Is this the one you talk? Is she doing a parody channel?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Betty Bauer?
Yeah.
Yeah. The world's greatest Christian, or whatever the hell she calls herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Fact versus Religion hasn't done a video in freaking ages, and Got That Funk hasn't in a very long time. Jacob Truman, I forget what his channel used to be called, but he hasn't done anything forever. And when he has, it hasn't been atheism content.
And one I haven't seen anything on, and he's been promising to do stuff, and I haven't seen any of it yet, is a non-stamp collector.
Right. Oh, and Nicotine too. He hasn't done anything in forever.
You know, now, Kate, you're making me feel wonderfully old here. I mean, I haven't been making content, but I've been watching
Diana,
these guys.
you are wonderful and old.
What can I tell you?
I
do remember these guys.
No
I've been
idea.
around a lot longer than I give myself credit for. I think I remember your very early days, Kate. And the interesting thing about that is, you know, from what I remember thinking back, I'm thinking, okay, who is this person and what is she all about? I wasn't too sure where you were coming from, but then I got to meet you, and yeah, you were just totally different. Your persona that I saw and remembered back then, much better. I'll give you that.
I
How long have you
think
been
I
making
found
videos for,
the
Diana?
channel, Jacob Truman's channel. I think he was Tool Time is who he was. Yeah. Tool Time. He hasn't made a video in quite a while.
All these people who you're talking about, I have no idea who they are.
Well,
yeah, because you weren't born yet.
Zonstar is another one. And let's see, well, of course,
Badger, I remember before Kate did a CGI character, then did it, and then stopped doing it.
You've mentioned Wild with Claire many times.
Yeah, oh God, I loved her stuff. I wish she would still be doing stuff, but she's got her reasons for staying out of the limelight, and it's okay. What are you gonna do?
And Qualia Soup, Rebecca Pauline, Proportional Response. I mean, these are people who haven't made anything.
Oh God, I remember Proportional Response. Yeah.
Yeah, and
how much extra work did you have to put into your videos when you were doing CGI, Kate?
Well, that's the thing is I had a bunch of presets that I had. Like I have about 20 or 30 different reactions that Sandra would do. And I just had them pre-rendered, most of them. It was like every now and then I'd realize there's one I don't have that I need to make. But for the most part, I mean, it was just cut and paste for those videos.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, but it still would have been harder than recording yourself.
Well, yes and no. I mean, actually editing what I said was a lot easier because I wasn't necessarily trying to get it all in one take. And so if I said something and screwed up, well, I'm just recording an audio file, so it doesn't matter.
Well, that's another one of my problems.
That with videos where I don't appear on camera, that is easier. It's so much easier.
Latham Way. Oh my gosh, I'd forgotten about Latham Way.
Yeah, one of my problems, and why I have a whole bunch of problems. We all know that, but I try to get everything done in one take, and I know it's that perfection thing I'm going on, but
I love doing that.
That's never gonna work. Believe me. Yeah. I mean, you've seen my bloopers videos. That's never gonna work.
I don't keep mine. It frustrates me so much when I screw up.
Well, the end of one of the Fire Sign Theater albums describes me perfectly, and it's Scene 3, Take 600.
Man, Juno's Den. There's a name I haven't heard in forever.
I'm really trying to think at this. I'm pretty sure when I'm thinking about it now that I've been looking at stuff that long, and you've been around that. I mean, have you been around 15 years?
I don't know. Wow, Healthy Addict. She hasn't done anything forever either.
Oh God, I remember that name.
Okay, like we're allegedly raising money for SciStrike, although we barely mention it. But there's another like YouTuber who died a long time ago, Happy Cabby. I guess I'm the only one who remembers Happy Cabby. But
you might be, because
and he died like 3 years ago. Oh man, Finlarg. I'd forgotten about him too. Wow, just going through my subscription list, I'm seeing all these people who just don't do anything anymore.
Well, then there are the recent people who don't do things anymore. I'm thinking of Purple Dan.
Don't know that one.
He's
the dinosaur man,
geology student in South Africa, who hasn't done anything in at least a year. He's a big sweetie. He and I used to talk quite a bit on Logic has a Discord server where a lot of the new folks were coming, and I went there when I was new, and I got to talk to a lot of people, and Dan was one of them. He's a big, 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 big sweetie. And unfortunately, he's just not doing stuff anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost Wildwood Claire Jr.
Which takes me back to an earlier question, Diana. How long have you been doing videos for?
Not that long. I only started... I didn't even seriously start my channel yet, but the very first video I did, intending to do a video for my own channel, was at the end of 2017.
Oh, okay. So you've only been doing it 2 years now.
Just a couple of years. I started doing it when we got the notice that we had to move from the units we were in when the owners let them go to shit and HUD pulled the subsidies. I started journaling the packing up and getting the move done and bitching about the owners, just taking the money and taking the subsidies and letting everything go to shit, and who suffers but we, the tenants. That's what got me started. And then for what I was still working with Jones at the time, the NCG Studios thing. And what got me started on my own videos was we were talking about something. It might have had something to do with burden of proof. Yeah, it was burden of proof. And I felt I really had to expand on my take on it, and I did a video. And then I found Catholic Answers, and it was like, okay, I'll respond to them. That was, maybe February or March of 18. And then Johnny Drive-By found me. He discovered one of my response videos to Catholic Answers. And, hey, darling, this is great stuff. I hope I see more. And then I ended up on one of his after shows, and the rest is history, basically. It's, you can blame him for releasing me on an unsuspecting world. Because until I ran into Johnny, it was, okay, I'm just going to make an occasional video here and there, and I'm just doing it for the hell of it, and no intention of being serious at all. And then, well, I'm not all that serious.
Why would you want to be serious? There's no point in being serious.
I mean, not even serious to the point of putting shit out regularly. I mean, I barely put shit out regularly now. I know.
So you need more fiber, is what you're saying.
Say again, huh?
You need more fiber.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Go find me for Metamucil.
Or the other one is I might want to try Castoria.
Well, I can supply you some purple liquid that's really salty. That'll do the trick.
Purple liquid?
Yeah.
Lavender
a specific juice.
I thought jelly juice was green.
It can be purple. Cabbage can be purple.
Okay. I'll give you that one.
There's interesting colors of jelly juice out there.
Jelly juice.
Yeah, you gotta taste them all. It's like Pokemon.
Man, it's it amazes me that
she's a nut.
She's within feet of my old neighborhood.
You have a question for the old people. How rude.
So
the answer is sparkling prune juice. Okay.
And contact lenses. Oh, not that I have mine, but
music's like a time machine. So, what song demonstrates when you guys were my age? Like, what song demonstrates that era?
20.
When was I 20?
Well, I'm trying to even think what year that was.
Well,
I guess it was 90. No, wait, yeah.
It was 95, Kate. I could do
95. Yeah,
I could do arithmetic better than you can.
I knew that. I was just, it's early and I haven't had breakfast. But
okay. Well, come on over. I'll make you some breakfast. How's that sound?
Gosh. I mean, I guess I wasn't listening to a lot of current music back then because that was when grunge was a thing and Generation X was a thing. And I hated it back then because everyone was so artificially depressed, it seemed like. And so I guess I would have to point to music from even earlier than then that I was still listening to. So I don't know if it counts.
We'll give it a try. Let's find out.
Well, I'm pretty sure no one's heard this, but Sleeping in My Car by Roxette.
Yep.
I know I've heard it because you played it for me.
Well, I adore that song so much. I really do.
Dress for
it's
Success
my
was good too.
Favorite song in the entire Western universe.
I know everybody.
You're talking 80s now, Kate.
No, that album came out in 1993.
Did it? Was that? Oh, well, that works for me because that's the right year for me. Meatloaf's anything. I would do anything for lunch came out. Lunch.
Lunch.
Do anything for lunch.
That sounds like a Weird Al parody.
Yeah, that's a Weird Al parody. No, I would do anything for love came out then as well. So.
Oh my!
I would do anything for lunch, but I won't eat that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any. Well, I was another one who was not listening to the stuff that I was, in quotes, supposed to listen to. I didn't discover Led Zeppelin until I was in my 30s, okay? But when I think back on it, you're going to jump all over me for this one. I think what really defines the era and what really tugs at my heartstrings is a trilogy that is on the album so far, CSNY. You have Teach Your Children, Ohio, and what's the other one? I lost the title. But it's a perfect thing of hope, reality, and resignation.
Okay.
And
I don't even know, like, what did you say the band was called? Like CSV or some shit?
Oh, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Oh, well, that helps. All right.
Yeah, it doesn't help me at all.
Yeah, no, I've heard of them. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I don't know them at all. So. Sorry, Diana. But surely something in your era would have been something like ELO.
Oh, I know about them.
Know about ELO.
I wasn't a big fan. I mean, I did like the Xanadu soundtrack. Okay, I admit that.
Oy.
Who else? So you're when were you in your 20s, Diana? Late 70s?
I turned 20 in 1977.
Yeah.
So the Star Wars theme song, then.
Yeah, Star Wars.
There you go. I mean, okay, the stuff I was paying attention to
I
back
actually
then.
wonder if that ever got any airplay, the theme to Star Wars. It seems like the kind of thing that people might have actually put on just because of how popular it was.
I believe it did get airplay.
Teenager in your 20s listening to stuff.
Oh,
like,
the name of the song that
Pink
I was trying
Floyd?
to think of was "Find the Cost of Freedom." That's it. Okay, back to the track.
Would you have been listening to Pink Floyd and?
Okay, now, if you're asking what I was doing personally,
yeah.
Most of what I was listening to was Tchaikovsky, Beethoven, some Mozart.
Okay.
Bach.
Well, I listened to those too, but
not my sort of thing.
If I'm going to be honest about the stuff I was listening to, I was either listening to rock, like rock, or to heavier rock. So, like Nazareth, Queen, Pink Floyd, Genesis, that sort of stuff, or I was listening to some of the classics like you did, Diana, or I was listening to jazz like Glenn Miller.
Well, Glenn Miller, that's swing, but yeah, I mean, when I think of jazz, I think of Keith Jarrett, but that's another story.
Okay, you see, I played big bands, so
oh, okay, fine.
So any of those sort of things I think of as jazz. Yeah, I played trombone.
Okay.
Well, okay, I just remembered back in the 90s when I was 20-ish, I was actually listening to a lot of anime music. There was like a Japanese store not too far from me, and they sold a lot of like anime and manga, and they had a bunch of soundtracks from things that I'd been watching, and I was like, okay. But the weird thing is, I mean, I can only assume that some of it was just inspired by what I was watching, because I could not find it anywhere in the actual anime, a lot of that stuff. And there were a few things I bought just because, oh, hey, I know those characters, but everything was in Japanese, so I didn't exactly know what I was getting. And there are some bizarre songs that I ended up finding, some of which I got very attached to, but still, some of it is just so weird. I don't know.
It's still the same for anime music.
What?
The anime music is still like that, though. Some of it is still really weird.
Okay, but my point is that back then I was listening to that.
But yeah, you want to talk about the music that goes along with the Japanese animated stuff. I love Yoko Kanno and the Seatbelts.
Okay.
Who did the theme and incidental music for the the Space Cowboy? What the hell was the name of that thing?
Oh, Cowboy Bebop?
Yes.
Okay. I was never a huge fan of the theme song to that one.
Okay.
So what about the Beatles? Were you listening to them?
Not really.
No?
For whatever reason, I was not the big Beatles fan.
Because Beatles would have been quite big when you were a teenager.
They were quite big when I was 7 years old, and it kept going.
Yeah, they kept going until a gunman and a...
I remember when they appeared on Ed Sullivan's show in '64.
So that's the thing with the Beatles, is I like their more pop era before they became hippies. You know, I like the I Want to Hold Your Hand era. I like that music so much better than what they did later. Where they were trying to get all like deep and shit, and it didn't work for me.
Well, they were taking too much LSD,
you really do this to it, you know?
I'm with you.
Like, I actually do not, in fact, live in a yellow submarine. Thank you very much indeed.
You just haven't taken the right drugs.
Well,
actually, I probably have. I mean, I've done weed, I've done acid. What more do I need?
You get the same sort of feel when you listen to the Beach Boys as well.
I like the Beach Boys.
I like the Beach Boys too, but some of their songs were obviously inspired by drugs.
Oh, well, but they still had that more sort of pop sound that I prefer.
Did. Yeah, they did.
I actually, though, have a whole sound, like a playlist on my phone of oldies. Now, I realize oldies is a category that gets bigger and bigger every year, but it's mostly like the kind of stuff you would have heard in, say, American Graffiti or Stand By Me or Back to the Future.
Yeah, to my mind, oldies is... if you're talking pop type oldies, I'm thinking 60s, 70s.
Yeah, I mean, this
maybe
is more
early 80s.
This is more 50s, 60s, but yeah.
Yeah, I can go back as far as the 50s for some of them. I mean, I like some of the stuff that's earlier too. Some of the nice earlier ballads and that are absolutely gorgeous.
By today's standards, the 90s is oldies.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the problem, is that...
Yeah, but a lot of the 90s stuff is
like,
shit.
oldies as a genre versus this shit's old, I think should be different things.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why all music is now categorized by decades, isn't it? So,
yeah, I mean that's actually a thing that I've thought about, is because we live in an age where information is so readily available, where there was like a time not too terribly long ago, when you look at human history, like, 100 years, maybe a little less, having a record player was probably extravagant,
Oh yeah.
and um like you look at movies, there was a definite beginning to a movie era, and so like you start talking about old movies, I still think of that as shit that was in black and white because they didn't have an alternative, where
yeah.
a lot of people probably like, I mean, old is a relative term,
Well,
and so what do you call an old movie anymore?
Be old for me.
Nowadays, an old movie is the original that they went to do the reboot off of.
But I mean, they've done
it
that
does
so
definitely
many
seem that
times
way.
now. I mean, there are some movies out there that have multiple remakes, and they're making another War of the Worlds.
Oh no.
Well, it
Actually,
should be better than the last one.
With it though, they're trying to remain true to the novel. Like it's
That'd be
set,
better.
Oh,
like,
that would be much
when did it
better.
take place? Like World War One-ish time?
Is it actually going? No, isn't it Turn of the Century, the novel?
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty early.
I just know that like I remember everyone's dressed like it's a steampunk thing, in those old timey clothes. And one guy is trying to shoot down the Martians with one of those.
Are they actually going to set it in
England? Let
England?
me finish. One of the guys had one of those machine guns you have to crank.
All
Are they
right,
going
I'm
to
gonna
actually
interrupt
set
real
it
quick.
in England?
I'm going to continue to talk until I get to finish.
It's set in England. Yes.
So something we
Okay.
talked about earlier was drugs, right? And I had an idea. Imagine a coffee with lavender, but instead of coffee, we're all in shrooms.
I wouldn't know where to get shrooms, but I do
Denver,
have.
Colorado.
I know where to get them. It's just that I don't know that the show would be any good on them.
It could be interesting, although it could be one of those things where like it's so much fun during, and then you watch the replay after, and you're like, "Oh my gosh,
Well,
why did anyone watch us?"
I was just
You
going to
should do
bring
an
that up.
evening
I
with
was going to
lavender
bring
where
up
we can have
the Family Guy, where Peter and Lois did the high school reunion concert and everything, and they were high as fuck, and they thought they were wonderful, and then you got to see what everybody else saw.
Well, I don't watch Family Guy, but I remember there was an episode of How I Met Your Mother where Ted and, why can't I remember his name, the one who's not Barney, are like stoned out of their gourds on Marshall. That was it. Ted and Marshall are stoned out of their gourds at a sporting event. And you see this like 20-minute segment of them trying to find like the nacho stand, and there's this guy with a guitar who's really creepy and keeps strumming at them and all this stuff. But then you see security cam footage, and it's like 30 seconds of them walking around, and the guy with the guitar is like a standee for an advertisement and all this stuff, and you just see them going the whole time,
Okay.
and it's yeah.
And to answer an earlier question, or at least I think it was an earlier question, War of the Worlds was published in 1897.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just know that the look of it, it's pretty clear that they're trying to stay true to the original source material.
Okay, then.
And while I don't like that era very much, it's going to be very interesting to see it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it a try, maybe.
I wouldn't mind seeing a decent production of Call of Cthulhu.
Oh my.
Done properly.
Yeah.
Well, okay. In that case, how about live action Akira?
Ooh.
Okay, I think you lost me. Wait a minute. Akira.
Akira, the anime.
The anime.
I just pulled it up. I'm actually
Akira.
not familiar with it.
Okay.
Is this something I've got to pull up and see and stuff?
Yeah, I think so. It's like, okay, the manga goes on and on and on, and the story is a bit different. But the movie is a mind fuck. Oh, you have no idea. It's like it starts out in this sort of post World War III cyberpunk future in Japan,
Yeah.
and like there's these weird experiments being done on kids
Yeah.
that gives them superpowers, and this one street punk kid gets the superpowers accidentally, and it goes so sideways.
Because what I'm reading here, let's see if we can do this. In 1988, the Japanese government drops an atomic bomb on Tokyo after ESP experiments on children go awry. In 2019, 31 years after the nuking of the city, Kaneda, a bike gang leader, tries to save his friend Tetsu from a secret government project. And it goes on and on and on. Holy shit.
This isn't accurate.
It's pretty wild, and some of the visuals at the end, I won't spoil it, but oh my gosh, ILM would have a field day with that shit.
All right. I may have to actually try this out.
And like what some of the folks in the chat are saying, live action animes tend to be awful. Maybe they do, but Battle Angel Alita was amazing.
It was.
Well, hang on.
It doesn't look like they're going to make a follow-on, so that's unfortunate.
Well, but still, it was a really well done live action anime.
Wouldn't live action anime be kind of an oxymoron?
Well, okay, an anime
film
done in a live action version.
I didn't even mind Ghost in the Shell. I enjoyed.
Well, I never liked the original anyway. It was too dark for my tastes.
The series was better than the movie in that sense.
Well, no, I mean, I don't even think I saw the movie. I watched the anime and said this isn't for me. So
I quite enjoyed it. But yeah, I found that Ghost in the Shell, the movie was fine. But yeah, it is quite dark concepts, I suppose.
Yeah, not a fan of dark. That's one of the reasons I hated the 90s is everything had to be all and I was like, dude, there's more to life than wallowing in depression. Thank you very much indeed. I don't need your tune in, turn out, whatever the fucking I don't know. I hated the 90s.
Tell me about
so
this
much.
life.
I hated the 90s. I really did.
Tell me about this life that you speak of.
Well, it's this thing that you do until you stop doing it anymore.
That's a pretty good description.
Stopped, so there you go.
And if you're really, really, really lucky and we're all wrong, you might get to do a variant version of it afterwards.
You know, I gotta say, if it turns out reincarnation is real, I'm gonna demand that I don't have quite so much of a fixer-upper. Thank you very much.
Hey, Jen.
I'm gonna demand I get put in the right body.
Well, Jen? That too, but I mean, I'm just thinking, how about none of the epilepsy? Perhaps. How about good hair? That would be nice. Things like that.
Jen.
I've seen your hair right out of the shower. It's actually rather nice.
It looks like an explosion in a Velcro factory. No, it's not nice.
Yeah, it's cute. Come on.
No, nobody wants to go through life looking like an electrocuted jellyfish.
I'm not paying attention to Twitter at the moment. What are they asking, Jen?
What does regulate birth date mean?
I have no idea what that means. Gonna have to ask Faye.
Regulate birth date?
Did you ask those questions?
I looked at those questions. I actually answered them, and one of the
those questions.
Yeah, one of Faye's questions, Wonder Lady's questions. And let me see if I can actually find it here.
What questions? Give me context here.
Yeah, I'm looking them up as we speak.
Well, I'm asking the person who wrote them what the hell she meant.
Is she here?
What are we even talking about?
On Twitter.
Yeah.
What happened on Twitter? Come on, be specific here. Start at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to start at the beginning if everybody will let me do the thing. In a group DM called Midnight Mid America.
I misread this. Our own Wonder Lady asked the questions.
Our own Wonder Lady Faye asked a set of questions that she wanted us to answer. Number 1, is shame an effective tool for change? Number 2, should we regulate birth date? Number 3, do you think you'll have to move due to climate change? 4, would you share your home with a refugee? 5, what's the most effective tool against bigotry? 6, what do you do when an ex knocks on your door? 7, how many times a month do you wash your bedding? 8, what's worse, disappointment or betrayal? 9, what would you rather lose, your mind or your bodily functions? 10, what matters more to you, your safety or your freedom? And with number 2, should we regulate birth date? I have no idea what she meant. I have no idea at all.
I'm
sorry, Jen. You were the message above that, and I transposed. What?
Now, number 6.
I actually answered, but I accidentally answered the wrong question.
Okay.
So I just left my other answer.
What's question 1? Let's start at number 1, please.
No. Let's not do that, because then we're stealing from her thunder of doing a show on those questions.
Yeah, Moo.
Oh, okay.
But I did like number 6. I loved question number 6, which was what do you do when an ex knocks on your door? My answer was hide the sex toys.
Yeah, I like that.
My answer was I have no idea. I've never had a current, so I have no exes.
Well, my thought would be, how the frick did you get in here? Because there's a gate before you can ever get to my door, and it's locked. So...
Well, you jumped the gate, duh.
It's not a gate. It's a gate. Okay? It's not the kind of thing that you climb.
It has laser cannons, right?
Anything.
Yeah.
With enough... Good.
Yeah, they're right. It could be birth rate, not birth date.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That would make a shitload of sense. And I would say, yeah, absolutely. Nobody would agree with me.
I've read a lot of dystopian sci-fi where, like, you have to get a birth license and all of that stuff. And I've heard about, like, wasn't there a thing in China where you're only allowed to have one child? And so if they had a child and it was a girl, they would, like, either kill the child or hide the child or try to get the kid adopted or something.
Right.
Because everyone wanted boys to pass on the line. But then it started turning out that there was, like, not enough girls for all of these boys and all that stuff. So regulating birth rate, I mean, the motives are probably good when it comes to this planet is kind of overpopulated. But on the other hand, it's going to lead to so much crap that I think if we need to regulate the population rather than the birth rate, what we need to do is start looking seriously at colonizing another planet.
Oh, I'm with you on that.
And that'll happen in about 500 years.
Oh, my.
No, I think you're wrong there, Jen.
My trouble with that is that's just going to screw up another planet.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, if this other planet is populated by people who learned their lesson from what happened to Earth, I mean, in a way, you almost need to populate this planet with fanatics, but not religious ones, but more like environmental fanatics.
Yeah, that can be a religion and just as annoying.
But it could also actually be useful where regular religion is not.
Well,
you are all extremely wasteful with your 2-ply soft toilet paper. Use some fucking bark or leaves. That works.
Use your hand and wash it afterwards.
You first, Piggy.
No.
The reality is when we start populating other worlds, it's going to be people who actually fill positions in that society. So they're going to be people who are well educated and actually understand the requirements of that society. So with any luck, we'll build actually slightly better societies than what we have here.
Oh my.
All right, Diana can't hear us, so we can shit talk her now.
Oh, okay. No, I just unplugged the headset because it was actually starting to hurt my ears a little bit. So I'm just going to set this aside and listen through the speakers. And then when the feedback gets too bad, then I'll set the headset back in.
But the reality, as far as us getting to other planets, is going to be that as we're getting the better technology, especially with what SpaceX is doing at the moment, All it's going to take is you find something that's worthwhile for industry to go out and mine, and we will have a colony somewhere. Because it becomes worthwhile. If it's financially viable to do it, we will do it.
But then there's issues that come along with that. One issue being, take the ghost towns that we have in America, where that was a thing. Is it up for that company to bring those people back?
We get from what we do is what's going to propel us into the next thing. So, because there's that money to be made from it, more money will be put into developing the technologies, and we will end up a lot better at getting out there and doing these things. And as we do that, our desire to explore further, at least within the solar system, will drive us more to see what's out there and to do.
I don't think that we're going to exist as a species on this planet long enough to accomplish what any of you think
that is
we
the other
do.
concern. Yes.
No, I'm going to say,
as far as I'm concerned, anybody who's in their 20s or lower right now is in for an absolutely apocalyptic scenario.
Oh, absolutely!
I want to watch it right
now.
I want to watch it all burn. It's going to be great.
I know that there are, people who
for decades though.
There are people who are going to complain about me talking about this again, but I'm actually, in a way, disappointed that I am not dying next week. I am actually somewhat disappointed in the test results I got back. I was looking forward to not being around when everything went to fucking shit. Which it's damn near there already. Well, it is there, but that's another story.
Is it though? I mean, I know we've got lots of environmental problems, but technically, if you throw enough money at it, that is actually fixable to some extent.
Yeah, except the people who are in control of the place and people who need to do it most are too greedy, and too revelations. Rapture oriented to think that they have to do anything about it, and so we're a lost cause. It's too late. It's too late now. They just haven't recognized that yet.
Flying in space. Flying cars finally.
Those of us who were environmentally oriented back in the early 70s when Earth Day first happened, knew that this was coming.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and have been trying to get it to change this culture, to do something effectively about it for 40, 45, 50 years now. And nothing has changed. Yes, we have solar, yes, we have wind and various things like that, but that has not even begun to touch what really needs to be done.
Well, in reality, we should all be using nuclear.
And with all the nations of the world that are doing good work, the Germanys and things like that, it's not enough. We're the biggest fucking pigs on the planet here in America, and unless we do something, it's hopeless.
Well, not just you, China and Russia, India.
There are other reputable sources who are saying that it is already too late.
Yep.
That even if we stopped everything right now, we're still fucked.
It was too late 10 years ago.
Yeah. I know if you want to kick me for being a catastrophist or whatever, go ahead.
Pessimist.
Let it burn. Let it burn. Let it burn.
The hell?
I am more positive about it than that, because there are still a lot of things we could do to improve our planet. There's lots of things we can do to stop us as a species from becoming extinct. Okay, I don't know if we can destroy. I don't know if we can stop the general destruction that we're going to do as far as having a mass extinction.
Let me refine my position. I think it's too late if we continue as we are. I think that if we were to take extremely radical action now, we could prevent the worst of it.
Well, there are those,
but
and there are reputable among them who are saying that even if we do that, it's too fucking late.
The difficulty we have with what we've done to the planet is we can probably sort out the problems that we've caused with enough action within the next 5 to 10 years, as long as we do those things.
We need to shut down every internal combustion engine on the planet.
But the downside to it is if something else happens that makes a tipping point, then we will have a lot bigger issues than what we think we're going to have. For example, if one of the supervolcanoes went off, the tipping point will be overnight hit.
Well, I'm with George. I'm with George Carlin, who said, the planet is fine. We're fucked.
The planet.
The planet has indeed been through a lot worse than us. The planet is fine. It's going to continue. Life is going to continue. We're just not going to be around to see it.
Humanity isn't necessarily fucked. There's an awful lot of us.
And that's one of the reasons we're fucked.
One thing I've never had articulated by anybody is if, like, where does the water end up going when it goes away? It's not like it leaves the planet. It's got to go somewhere.
Well,
it depends on what's happening with the planet. I mean,
it depends on how the water goes
some
away.
Of the water
really,
treated into the ground, but if you have massive solar radiation because you no longer have an ozone to protect yourself, it's entirely possible for the water to disintegrate. Maybe that's the wrong word. And
boil off
into space forever.
But when boil off is not. That doesn't describe what's happening. Where does it go? I mean, when water boils, you get steam. But eventually, steam, it doesn't just stay in the atmosphere. It has to go somewhere.
Well, the atmosphere is actually going somewhere.
That's one of the problems.
Okay, too many people at once. One of you has to not talk at the same time as the other.
Okay, go ahead, Diana.
We are actually losing atmosphere. It happens at an incredibly low rate, but atmosphere is outgassing into the rest of space. This is why helium, for example, is to be greatly conserved. Any helium that's in a child's balloon that escapes into the atmosphere eventually goes higher and higher and higher until it's blown away by the solar wind. Now, if you heat the planet up, for example, to a point where you're boiling off a whole hell of a lot of water, the relative humidity is going to increase like crazy, and eventually that water is going to start outgassing.
So water can, in fact, leave the planet.
Yeah.
In the most extreme.
It's an extreme thing.
Situation, it could.
But having said that, Diana, if you put enough water vapor in the atmosphere, you actually thicken the atmosphere, which would actually cause a problem more like Venus than us losing more atmosphere.
Yes. Yeah.
We'd end up with a thicker atmosphere and it holds stuff in.
The worst.
That is the bigger problem.
The worst gas, if you will, is water gas. As far as planet heating. The clouds do more than carbon dioxide ever could.
Mm-hmm.
But too many clouds actually isn't the problem that we're going to have with increased carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Because what happens is as we increase the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, the water clouds actually stop being able to form. So we end up with no clouds and no rain.
Well, then where's the rest of the water?
Well, part of it is in the population. Remember, each one of us is, what do they say, 2/3 to 3/4 water?
Something on that order, yeah.
Do the calculation. How
the
much
oceans
water
get bigger and they expand.
Okay, so here's what we do. We take a lot of the really useless human beings, grind them up, and extract the water. I can think of a few people who would go on that list, to be perfectly honest. I know some completely worthless people from whom we can extract a lot of liquid.
See, the problem is not loss of water. It is for you because you're in California. But here up in Minnesota and Wisconsin, we've got so much water we don't know what to do with it.
Well, I do live right on an ocean.
Yeah, and desalination.
Well, that water isn't exactly potable
for people to consider it nowadays. At some point, it won't be, but right now it is.
It's difficult to drink ocean water because of all the magnesium and the sodium salts in there.
You can
and
still
everything.
desalinate it.
Right. Well, the point was that we have water nearby. It may not be potable water, but we have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the big problem that you guys down there have is the emptying of the aquifer. What is the name of that aquifer from which a whole shitload of water is being drawn?
Yeah.
The one thing that we get told a lot is about like the oceans rising as the polar ice caps melt.
Yes.
It may well be like it's not going to rise high enough for me personally to be flooded, but I may have a much better ocean view before much longer.
The bigger problem isn't so much the polar ice caps melting, although that will dump a lot of fresh water into the oceans. The bigger problem is as the planet warms, the water expands. So we actually get more sea level rise from the expansion of the oceans as the oceans get warmer than we do from the melting.
Yeah.
That's the bigger problem.
The barrier islands.
And warmer oceans will make the planet warmer in general because there's more heat being held down. So then it becomes a cycle. This is the point. We're not actually sure where the tipping point is, where the cycle runs away with itself. The planet does actually have systems in place that will make it balance itself out. The problem is they might not balance out fast enough to help us, so we need to actually help the planet.
Well, I don't know what it's been like in Australia lately, but the intensity of the weather systems that are going across the United States these days are
that's
absolutely incredibly intense. More intense than they were 10
Oh yeah, but you
years
still have
ago.
snowstorms.
Well,
the model. It's not a problem we can't solve. It's not even a problem we can't solve in the future.
We do not have.
We may not be able to solve having a mass extinction though. I think we're pretty much. I don't think there's anything we as a species now can do to stop there being a mass extinction. Mass extinction now. I think that's happening. Can we save a lot of these species as well as ourselves? I think that's still possible.
Okay, so I guess that's where you and a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I'm fundamentally a pessimist.
I think when push comes to shove, we will probably figure out a way to save ourselves and most of the animals that matter to us.
I think
but we are not going to save all of them.
I think we'll figure out a way, and I think there will be some idiots who will prevent us from implementing it because it impacts them personally in ways that they find do not feed their greed or their beliefs or whatever. There will be people who go either, oh, this is God's will, or people who go, but then I won't have quite as many millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Well, give it a few years and those millions are going to mean nothing.
The planet will be prevented by people who can't see past their own noses.
It's the same 1% that has all the money that is the same 1% that is controlling us to not do anything.
There's no real saving the planet. I mean, eventually the planet's going to be burnt up by the sun, so it's irrelevant.
We're talking a little more immediate than that.
Yeah, but even here, okay, but if we're talking immediate, the planet, as Diana already said, the planet's going to be here long after us.
Okay, you know what I fucking meant. Come on, enough with the prevarication. It's not useful.
Yeah, but the reality is going to be that. I don't know. I think when push comes to shove, we will probably figure out a way to save ourselves.
Well, I hope not.
Necessity.
if it turns into some sort of like Waterworld, Mad Max, post-apocalyptic wasteland, then we will take those people who insist, no, let's not save ourselves from this devastation and eat them. And then we'll find it. Like, I think that they are sowing the seeds of their own revolution against them.
I'll be right back.
Because of their selfishness, their self-centeredness, their unwillingness to look at the larger picture. I think that those people are setting themselves up for one hell of a fall. But in the meantime, they're going to do their best to halt any attempt to save ourselves simply because they, it impacts them personally in ways they don't care for.
Yeah, I mean, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we should not try to save ourselves. What I am saying is that I don't think we're going to be successful ultimately.
And well, that's what I'm saying. I just think that the reason we won't be successful is because of those jerks.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the reasons that I think that human extinction is not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, I'm not particularly chuffed about the idea. I like being alive. It might even be my favorite thing.
Well, so I kind of like being alive as well, because I really cannot wrap my head around not being alive. There are times I catch myself thinking, what's it going to be like when I'm no longer alive? And I have to say, Clarion, you're not going to be around to even know. So
yeah, it is very difficult. Like, even I am having a hard time seeing the difference between zero and null. If you see what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
And death will be null and not zero.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to picture because experience is all I know.
Yes, absolutely. There you have it. Absolutely. And that's what really messes with my freaking head. Knowing that, eventually I'm not going to be around. And I like the way Hitchens put it. It's not so much that the party's over. The party's going on, but I can't be there.
And that's the part that I don't like, is there are so many things I'm going to miss out on because of when I was born, and I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like one of my greatest fears is on the day that I finally die, whenever that may be, someone's going to go, oh, we've perfected the interstellar drive that lets us go faster than light. And I'm going to be like, fuck! Or even worse, if that happens the day before I die,
and
so I get to know
it's there.
I'm missing out on it. That is what, like more than anything else, when I think of death, I think of the stuff I'll miss out on and how much that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I'm not too terribly afraid to be dead, but while I'm alive, I want to do the things I want to do.
Yeah,
that's all right. We'll probably save ourselves by building robotic bodies.
Maybe. Although, actually, I was talking to someone else on his podcast. They're doing research on telomere extension.
Yes, I heard about that.
Yeah, and I would very much like to participate in that.
Yeah, live longer and not age as fast.
Mm-hmm.
If you mix that up with cybernetic part replacement.
There is that. Although I've thought a lot about how cybernetics would work, because it seems like unless they get really, really good with the tech, there's going to be a certain amount of sensory loss, like an input absence for some things. And that's going to be kind of strange, like not having sense of touch in certain places of your body, and then not be like not necessarily. I mean, the muscle memory of being able to make an arm move is something you'll have to completely relearn, and all that stuff. And it's kind of weird. I'm not sure how much cyber replacement I'd want necessarily, but then again, I'm not sure how much I could avoid.
Oh, we might also have because they're looking at things of being able to print skin and things like that. They print new arms, so You need a new arm, we'll print it. You need a new organ, we'll print it. You need a whole new body, we'll print the body and transplant the head.
I've thought about that, the whole brain in a vat thing, and then it gets installed into a full-on robot body. Unless the technology gets much better than what we have now, it's going to be really awkward.
Yeah. But it probably will get much better. That's the thing.
But when? I want it now.
Yeah. You're on your deathbed and they announce that next year we're going to...
Yep. Well, I mean, because everyone used to say, oh, yeah, the year 2000 is this threshold beyond which we'll be living like the Jetsons. Right? Seems like everything gets delayed by at least decades.
Yeah, where's my flying car?
Say that our technology base is like increasing exponentially. Maybe it is, but we're not getting the stuff I want. Where's my flying car? Where's my jetpack? Where's my spaceship? Where's my city power? And we don't have it. In fact, I remember when, say, for example, the Lawnmower Man came out and people were saying, oh, yeah, virtual reality is coming. It's going to be here real soon. And it's only quite recently, like decades after they said we'd have it, that we have anything even remotely resembling VR.
Yeah.
So, and it's not as full immersion as we'd like yet. We're not living in Ready Player One.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I don't want there to be flying cars.
Treadmills yet.
Yeah, I don't want flying cars either. I don't trust people driving on roads.
Yeah, no shit.
Well, I imagine they'll be self-driving.
Yeah,
there is one thing I've actually asked a few police officers this, and they don't know. I was like, okay, suppose someone invents like hover boots or a jetpack or something. How high off the ground do you have to be and cross the street not at a crosswalk for it to not be jaywalking? And nobody's been able to answer that question.
Alrighty then, is a go for there. That's good for some research.
Twice the height of a double-decker bus would be plenty of clearance for it to not be jaywalking.
Okay then.
That'd be interesting.
That's where, if I were a lawmaker, that's where I would start.
Yeah.
If I had to draft that law, that's the height I would start at, where the negotiations would begin, I'm sure.
I want some pedestrian bridges near where I am. There was a U.S. Steel plant in the borough I used to live in, the borough of Homestead. It was Carnegie Steel before it was U.S. Steel. Now it's a whole shopping area, and it's not well served for traffic, especially pedestrian traffic. You really need a couple bridges to go over the CSX tracks that they used to serve the steel mill. Now they're just passage through the area, but nobody wants to take responsibility to build the pedestrian bridges, because you've got what is it now? You've got CSX and you've got Chessie, or I say not B&O, who have tracks going there. And then you have the municipality, and nobody can agree on who's going to do what for building these pedestrian bridges, although everybody agrees they're needed.
Anyway, guys,
I suppose there's like no profit in it, really. So I'm sure that's a concern of the people who would build it.
Yeah, that's part of it, definitely. The railroads, especially, there are the two railroads. It would be no profit for them, and I suppose there would be some degree of liability, in case something happened, in case the bridges fell through, that sort of thing. They might have to.
Fell.
Say again?
I said fell.
Yes.
Like literally fell through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking there. Homestead bridges falling down.
Falling down.
Well, I'm going to run on everybody because it's 3 a.m. here and I need some sleep.
I should probably. It's like less than a minute to noon, and I should probably have some of that food stuff I've read so much about.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
That might not be a bad idea. I mean, I've actually been thinking of that stuff, even though I don't need as much of it as I'm thinking of. I'm still trying to lose. Oh well. I really, 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 really need to drop about 70. But
drop and give us 70.
There you go. That might help. No, my arms would fall off by the time I got through
guys.
with it. Well, you be good. You have fun, etc., etc.
No, I'll catch yous all on the Twitters and everything.
Yay! I think it's yay.
Well,
bye.
Have fun. I'm gonna get some nosh. So catch you later.
Take care, Kate. I miss you already. God, I love that.
Oh, but now you got me.
Oh my, that's a problem right there, man. Okay, you, me, and Piggy here, huh? Yeah, okay, it's 1500 hours here in this time zone. Let's have a look at who is here and who's doing what to whom and for how much. As my friend used to say years ago, holy shit, man. We've still got 12 people watching. You guys amaze the heck out of me, you know that? I don't know how it is that you guys come by. I had almost no advertisement of this stream before it started. And then the people started pouring in. I severely question your taste, okay, guys? Oh, man. Yeah, well, Jess, I think that's something we all kind of deal with, and I don't know how well we do individually or collectively.
Dinah, why don't we open the discussion up for questions from the chat?
We can do a little bit of that. Now there's I'm a little bit I'm of a little different mind here than you, Jess. Some distance up the side chat, you said, I often wonder how angry Jeff was after he died. He wasn't ready. He didn't think his time was coming. Will I be that angry if my time is cut short? So many what ifs. My difference with that line of thought is that for me there is no after. That's what really screws up my head, because I do catch myself thinking, as I said, what's it going to be like when once I'm dead? And wait, no, there's no me to experience any of it. So this is why we have to. Oh my. What did Piggy do?
I don't know.
I see that Look a Pig got timed out.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see anything he did or anything like that. What?
I wake up from a nap.
Oh, okay, because in the side chat it says Look a Pig is here. It was timed out by SciStrike Link JC Photos for 300 seconds. And I'm wondering, okay, how did you earn 5 minutes out of the side chat?
I don't know. Probably because I fell asleep.
Oh, okay. If you made a boo boo, then that's okay. Everybody does that.
I remember when I was a kid, when I learned about the birds and the bees at a younger than most age, like in about I think I was about 6 or 7, because my mom was a nurse and I had access to her medical books, and I was a rather precocious reader as a child, and so I read lots of stuff, and I sat there and thought about it that gee, if one particular sperm cell had fertilized my mom's egg, I would be a completely different person. And then the longer I thought about it, I realized, well, if I was a completely different person, how would I even know what kind of person I am now? So what's the comparator?
Well, that's a little thing going on. I often wonder what would my life have been like had certain things been changed, certain strategic.
Sure,
but then
the essence of the thought though was that the next step beyond that was recognizing my consciousness. Now remember, this coming out of the mind of a pre-6th grader. That I realized that if that egg and that sperm hadn't gotten together, I would not exist.
Moo.
And what would it be? Then I realized I couldn't even know that I didn't exist because I didn't exist. And it's part of what actually fed into me later in life to become non-religious. That I realized it was all just a crapshoot of biology.
Hey,
that I'm here, and
that's the same line I went down as a kid.
Which is what gets me to thinking, and there are the times I wish that BioMom would have taken a slightly different course of action. Rather than putting me up for adoption, going to New York and having an abortion. That might have been better for both of us.
How would you know?
I wouldn't exist.
Yep. So
the lack of existence is a savory thing that I've been thinking about. When it comes down to it, just as you said, Jen, before birth there was nothing, so why after death there would still be nothing?
Exactly, and that was my ultimate extrapolation. Is that then what is death? Is there a soul? No, there's not, because it's just a piece of biology.
Yeah.
And when we're gone, it's over. You flick the switch and say goodnight.
Yep, and it's
question from the side chat.
But it's still
Jess asks,
one of those.
Who has the conure?
Reality sucks.
No, reality doesn't suck. It's just limited. Reality is as good or bad as you choose it to be. You are in control.
Let me to see how is this over here is yet going to making. I do not know. Yes, I'm being weird.
Did it work?
Oh my!
If I was 5 again,
my
and knew
word!
the life
Oh
I
my
had,
word! Oh God!
What would be the main
redacted.
change you would make? I would have come out of my transgender closet a lot earlier, so I didn't have to suffer the slings and arrows of adolescence with the wrong hormones in me.
Were I 5 again, but knew the life I have had, what would be the main change? I'm not sure I could answer that question because I would probably be banned from YouTube.
If I was 5 and knew again about my life and what I would do, well, there's not much I could change.
The JC Photos, the energy that we are in our consciousness is a biochemical reaction. If the furnace for the biochemical reaction is turned off, the energy goes away.
No. Here's the point that nobody gets. I've been in this argument with so many other people. The energy cannot be created. It cannot be destroyed. The order can. It is not simply the energy. It is the order imposed over that energy that defines us, and that order can be destroyed.
I would agree with that.
Sort of like one of the reasons, and Redacted sort of keyed in on this a bit. One of the reasons we're not, great big balls of molten rock right now, or fucking plasma, right? stars explode, we're that stardust, and yet we're still functioning as energy. I mean, I still have no concept of what I used to be of that stardust. 100 years from now, someone will probably breathe me in a form or shape of an atomic form, but outside of that,
every breath of air we take, every drop of water we drink has been breathed and drunk by someone else previously.
I wouldn't say every drop of water, because you can go to some places like the Antarctic and get some nice clean water.
Where did it come from?
Space?
Nah, not anymore.
No, but if, redacted, were I 5 again, knew the life, I think the main change I would make
Arla.
would have to do with a couple people not existing.
Hey, I like that idea. I could think of a couple people in the same manner, but that's just because they're just really bad people. So that's an interesting chain of thought.
That is a moo. That is very moo.
Question: are you okay if I invite some people?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of fading here. I don't know about everybody else.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm also fading too. I actually fell asleep when there was people in here, and everyone leaving caused a bit of chaotic noise that woke me up. I think I'm a bit sick, so I don't have the energy I normally do.
I am glad, I am very, very happy, Jess, that you have and have had people in your life that you can tell you love. I wasn't so lucky.
Yeah. I didn't know you were adopted.
Yeah. My sister and I both.
Oh.
Yeah, the female slimy bastard had had to have an hysterectomy back in, I think, 49 or something, some 8 years before I was born.
Huh.
So at least one good thing is at least the world was spared issue from those two.
Yeah.
You can tell I don't like them very much.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, but you got to let it go at some point, Diana.
I'll die eventually.
I mean, there are definitely people that have been part of my life that I regret having known them, having interacted with them. But I'm sure not going to let them rule my future. Fuck them. They're over with. They're out of my life. Screw them. Nothing they did matters anymore. What they did affected me, but what I do is my decision, not theirs.
Yeah, what's really interesting, Jess,
let it go.
You know, that the whole adopted thing. I remember being told that unlike a lot of kids, Anne Marie and I were wanted. You know, they went to the baby store and picked us out and took us home in order to treat us like shit. They didn't say that last part. They just went and did it.
Huh. Well, Jared gets home probably in another couple of hours.
Dice Patrosta.
Get a message.
Hey, Smitty.
No, Smitty, it doesn't. But when it's in your forebrain all the time and you feel the need to reflect on everything in your present and future in terms of that memory. They are ruling your life in effect.
I can't get rid of them. I try, I can't. They invade my nightmares.
Sci-wife. So we're calling her Sci-wife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She was a nice lady. Or she is a nice lady.
Oh, SciStrike, I didn't realize. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you were Sci's daughter. I apologize.
Yeah, I've only heard of your mom. I, of course, never got to meet her. From what I understand, she's a very good person.
Oh. Well, I'm gonna call it a day and wait for Jared.
And no, I don't know what I just said.
You scare me each time you speak in tongue.
You think I'm going full-blown Pentecostal? No, not me. That was my sister. Anne Marie went full-blown Pentecostal. Hey, shit. She lived in Columbus for a while, and she would talk about going to a church there, and then after the church service, some people they would go to Denny's, a local Denny's, and they would be rolling around on the floor, slain in the spirit, and they would be speaking in tongues in this Denny's, and no one thought it unusual. Those people are weird.
Well, have you ate Denny's spaghetti? I mean, come on now.
Not in a long time.
Too.
I haven't been in a Denny's in a hell of a long time, to tell you the absolute truth. I'm trying to remember the last time I was in a Denny's.
Last time I was in Denny's, it was because I wanted to have bad food.
I think the last time I was in a Denny's was maybe about 2007. Now, I've been in an eat and fart recently. Most of you people don't know what I'm talking about. There's a restaurant chain around here in Ohio called Eaton Park.
Oh, I thought you said eat and fart.
I did say eat and fart.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Taco Bell.
Oh my, that must be really nice. That must be wonderful. The whole Sci clan going to dinner.
Yeah, I feel silly saying something like have a nice time, but I hope that it's a good positive experience for all you folks.
Well, it can be. When my call him step grandfather, because okay, the female slimy bastard's mother, my maternal grandmother, lost her husband, the father of the kids. He fell down a flight of stairs and split his skull open. Much later, she remarried, and that person was the grandfather I knew. But when he died, a whole bunch of the cousins got together at a restaurant. We were exchanging stories about him, and that was a pretty nice thing. And I kind of came to appreciate the call it the Irish wake or whatever. Wait a minute. What is this that Smitty's saying? I just made salad sauce. Get Italian and squirt the oil in a pan. Fry ground turkey and some salsa. Mix the rest of the dressing and Parmesan in. Salad is Walmart Super Blend and spinach. Sounds edible.
I'm back. Did you say edible mushrooms?
I didn't see anything about mushrooms in there.
Oh.
I used to love mushrooms. I can't do them so much anymore.
I like them. You could deep fry them. You can roast them. I mean, you can do all kinds of things.
Yeah, there is on that for you. Is the beagle is I to hearing to making? Yes, for that. No, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, Diana, it was fun.
Indeed.
Had a lot of fun here.
I guess what we'll do is pretty much just sort of take this whole thing down. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity, Piggy. And hopefully we got a little bit of notice for the fundraiser. Oh, you know what I will do? I will have a look at it. I'm going to. Okay, it's still at $26.50.
Okay.
So I guess I didn't raise too much. Damn it. Oh well, what are you gonna do? But thank everybody for coming by.
Matters.
I mean, I want to thank all of you who are here and all of you who are not here. And I also want to say thanks a lot, troops. See you on the other side.
We're out of here?
We're out of here.
Wow.